Chapter 3017. I would like to invite everyone here to join the Demon Extermination Alliance and kill the unfettered 7 demons together, returning peace to the cultivation continent. What do you think? Jing Tianyi finished speaking. Shui Zhaowang stood up first. My Shui family is willing to join the Demon Extermination Alliance. Su Qingquan did not pass on the responsibility. My Shrouded Heaven Palace is willing to follow the lead of the 2 alliance masters. Miao Yu chuckled, but his voice sounded like he was gnashing his teeth. I can't wait to skin those 7 little bastards and drink their blood. Even if Alliance Master Jing does not say it, my entire sect will not be able to coexist with them. Xiahou Zun coughed lightly and stood up as well. As the Emperor of the Southern Continents, Xiahou Empire, and an expert ranked in the top 10 of the Azure Sky list, Xiahou Zun's status was naturally not something that others could compare to, so seeing him stand up, everyone immediately held their breaths and focused. Xiahou Zun smiled and said slowly, "The unfettered 7 demons are so perverse, we naturally have to kill them. But there are some things that we should make clear in advance. The chaotic pagoda that Jun Mayan took away can help cultivators advance and train their fighting spirit. It is a treasure that is hard to find in 100 years. Alliance Master Jing, if we kill the unfettered 7 demons and take back the chaotic pagoda, how should we deal with this treasure?" Xiahou Zun's words made many people's hearts jump uncontrollably. In the past year, the chaotic pagoda had been located in the Divine Elephant City and could be used as long as one paid a small amount of crystals. Many of the clans present had already realized how heaven-defying the chaotic pagoda was. Even though they couldn't keep such a treasure for themselves, they could still use it to train their disciples from time to time. That would be a great consolation. But who knew that the owner of the chaotic pagoda, Yi Liangshun, was actually Jun Mayan? She even took the chaotic pagoda away. How could these clans, who were used to benefiting from the chaotic pagoda, endure this? Jing Tianyi seemed to have already expected someone to ask this question. He smiled and said indifferently, "I have already thought about this. If we can kill the unfettered 7 demons, my Mulu Pavilion will only need to take back the divine weapon, Cry of the 9 Heavens Cranes, Zither, and the inherited secret technique. As for this treasure, the chaotic tower." He paused for a moment, and after whetting everyone's appetite, he continued in a leisurely manner. The Demon-Slaying Alliance will choose 4 elders from the North, South, East, West, and West continents. In the future, the chaotic tower will be guarded by these 4 elders in turn, and it will be placed in the main cities of the 4 continents. As long as you are a disciple of an aristocratic family or a sect under my Demon Extermination Alliance, you can enter the chaotic tower to cultivate. King Xiahou is a man of virtue and prestige. Naturally, he is one of the 4 elders. I think that after we take back the chaotic tower, we should leave it in the southern continent for the first year. What do you think, Xiahou? Xiahou Zun's eyes flashed with satisfaction. Very well, he declared. The Xiahou Imperial House is willing to join the Demon Extermination Alliance. I would like to see what kind of unfettered 7 devils have to be so arrogant. Xiahou Zun's declaration immediately caused most of the people present to stand up in excitement. My Killing Demon sect is willing to join the Demon Extermination Alliance. My Spiritwood sect will also join the Demon Extermination Alliance. Count my Chu clan in as well. Jing Tianyi had already expected such an outcome. His expression was calm, as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. On the other hand, Chu Xinyan snorted coldly, his eyes drooping slightly. The chaotic tower was a treasure that he wanted to keep for himself. This Jing Tianyi really knew how to do favors. In just a few sentences, he had given away the treasure that should have belonged to him, and he had even won over the hearts of the people. Chapter 3018. I'll let them be happy for a while. Once he obtains Mayan and cultivates to become an immortal, would he still have to worry about not being able to make these clowns bow down to him? Most of the people in the square stood up and expressed their views. Only then did Jing Tianyi turn to look at the people who had yet to get up. The people that Jing Tianyi had invited to participate in the demon slaughtering meet were all the top families and sects in the Purple Cloud domain. Because of the destruction of the god-refining precipice and the disappearance of the chaotic tower, the benefits of these clans and sects were affected. Thus, many people had joined the Demon Extermination Alliance under Jing Tianyi's persuasion before the Demon Extermination Conference. Those who had yet to speak were those who had been indifferent to Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan's invitation. For example, the Lan clan and the Su clan in the eastern continent, the Murong family and the Duan family of the southern continent, the Zhu family and Dragon Tiger sect in western peninsula. Chu Xinyan had already investigated these sects and clans. He knew that they had always been on good terms with Long Tongue and the unfettered Seven Devils. At this moment, seeing that they were all silent with sullen faces, he couldn't help but smile meaningfully. He stood up and said, "King Lan, Su family head, Murong family head, I heard that you have a close relationship with the unfettered Seven Devils. Since so many fellow Taoists have gathered here today, I'm afraid it would be inexcusable if you don't take a stand, right?" Just as he finished speaking, the youth standing behind the Su family's patriarch seemed to be unable to bear it any longer. He sneered and said, "All of you, your words are even better than your singing. You say you want to annihilate evil and uphold justice, but actually, isn't it because the unfettered Seven Brothers have infringed upon your interests? Don't be rude in front of the elders." The head of the Su clan, Su Mingyu, reprimanded him with a tone that was neither too light nor too heavy. He then said lightly, "Marquis must be joking. The Su clan has never liked to fight for fame, and we have no interest in treasures or power. Do whatever you want with the Demon Extermination Alliance, but don't drag my Su family down with you." After saying that, Su Mingwei didn't wait for Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi to react. He stood up and was about to leave. The king of the Lan royal family, Lan Yiqian, was even more disdainful than Su Mingwei. He only said one sentence: "The Lan royal family is not interested in bullying the younger generation." He stood up and left. Chu Xinyan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He had wanted to kill Lan Yiqian for a long time. He had also coveted the Lan family empire's base soul pearl for a long time. It was a pity that Lan Yiqian's cultivation level was too high. He was at the peak of the crossing calamity stage, and his ranking on the green sky roll was just below him. With the Lan clan empire as their backing, they really couldn't do anything to them easily. "Su family head, Lan family head, please wait," Jing Tianyi suddenly said. He still had a carefree smile on his face, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Before the two of you make a decision, you'd better think carefully. The establishment of the Demon-Slaying Alliance this time is a major matter that concerns all the Xiuzha in the world. If any family withdraws from the alliance or allies with the evil, they will be opposing all the factions in the Demon-Slaying Alliance. I, Jing Tianyi, am warning the two of you as the sect master of the Cleansing Joy Pavilion. As long as you step out of the Demon Slaughter Plaza today, all the doctors on the Cultivation Continent will no longer treat any of the disciples of the Lan clan or the Su clan. All the auxiliary masters will also refuse to fight alongside your descendants. Even so, the two of you still refuse to join the Demon Extermination Alliance?" As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed. Magnificent Medicine, a gold medal special agent who transmigrated to become the useless third daughter of the godly physician Manor. Watch how she controls the universe and her fate with the song Marriage in a Chaotic World from the God Realm Hades chart. Chapter 3019. All the doctors refused to treat, and all the assistants refused to fight side by side. This was a severe punishment. Anyone with a brain could think of this. Lan Tianyi and Su Mingyue's faces were extremely gloomy. Lan Tianyi's face darkened. "Are you threatening us? Lord Lan must be joking. How could I dare to threaten the Lan royal family?" Jing Tianyi's face regained its sanctimonious and hypocritical smile. "The entire continent is united to expel the demons. Even the saintess of cleansing, Lu Pavilion, who has always lived in seclusion, is willing to do her part. Lord Lan and Lord Su are dragging us down. Isn't this unforgivable?" Everyone couldn't help but look at the veiled girl sitting on the right. Her purple robe fluttered. Although half of her face was covered, one could still see her beauty and elegance. The person from the northern continent shouted, "Who said that June Mayan is the world's best assistant musician? Don't you know that our saintess is young? But she is already a tribulation cultivator. Moreover, she is the only one in the world who can play the godly instrument, snow, solitude. In terms of assistance, medical skills, and strength, June Mayan isn't even worthy of carrying our saintess' shoes." That's right. The unfettered 7 demons dared to humiliate our saintess. Today, we will make them pay a painful price. In this world, more than half of the high-ranking doctors and assistants are disciples of my cleansing Pavilion. Going against the Demon Extermination Alliance is the same as going against my cleansing Pavilion. You'd better weigh this matter carefully. Suzy couldn't bear it anymore and gritted his teeth. You still have the nerve to say that the unfettered 7 demons are demons. With such coercion and temptation, aren't your actions even more disgusting than the evil devils? Jing Tianyi sneered. To deal with demons, we must use extreme methods. Fine, since you haven't thought it through. Why don't we first invite the protagonist of today's demon-slaying assembly? Once all of you witness the true face of the unfettered 7 devils, you'll understand my good intentions at that time. Lord Lan, Lord Su, please go back and take a seat. Both Lan Tianyi and Su Mingwei had gloomy expressions. If they acted according to their hearts, they would have flown far away a long time ago and absolutely wouldn't be threatened and humiliated like this. However, they still had the Lan family empire and the Su family behind them. How could they not know how terrifying it was for a cultivator to be rejected by all the doctors and assistants? In the end, the 2 of them returned to their seats with sullen expressions. Even though Suzy narrowed his eyes coldly, he did not retort. That was because he didn't want to leave. He wanted to see little Missy. If these people dared to bully little Missy, he would stop them even if he had to risk his life. When Yun, who was standing behind Hong Lan, saw this scene, she immediately laughed complacently. If I had known this would happen, wouldn't it have been fine if I had listened obediently from the beginning? He was so arrogant just now, but in the end he still has to return with his tail between his legs. However, just as she finished her sentence, he felt a sharp pain on his face and heard a loud slap. Then he was thrown to the ground. "Why you dare hit me?" Yun crawled up from the ground in a sorry state and glared at Su Mingwei. Su Mingwei didn't even bother to look at her. He looked coldly at Jing Tianyi. "Headmaster Jing, the daughter doesn't know any better. Su, will discipline her on your behalf. I believe you won't mind, right?" Readers who want to participate in the book review and comment section activities, please remember to join the Book Friends group 190149989. Chapter 3020. Jing Tianyi was furious. He was angry at his daughter, Yun, for being useless. At the same time, he hated Su Mingyu for humiliating him in front of everyone. However, he had always been a shrewd person, so on the surface, he was still talking cheerfully and wittily. "Master Su must be joking. My daughter being able to be disciplined by you is a blessing that she has cultivated for several lifetimes. Yun, aren't you going to thank Patriarch Su?" Yun's face was already burning with pain, and it seemed to be swollen. When she heard that Jing Tianyi didn't support her and even wanted her to thank him, she couldn't help but be furious. She couldn't help but look at Bailan, hoping that the saintess would back her up. However, the reply she got was in Lin's cold voice. "Didn't you hear what the headmaster said? Why aren't you thanking Patriarch Su? As for your crime of opening your mouth without permission, wait for Mulu Pavilion to punish you." Yun gnashed her teeth in hatred. That day outside the unclean abyss, she had used a hallucinatory technique to bewitch Jianlan's mind, causing her to develop a bone-deep hatred towards the unfettered 7 sons, especially June Mayan. It was also because she was able to easily control Yuan Lan, and because her father was now the alliance master of the Demon Extermination Alliance and had full control over cleansing Joy Pavilion, she began to look down on the saintess more and more. Yun even had the thought of replacing him. Who would have thought that today, in front of so many people, his dignity would be ruthlessly trampled on by the holy maiden that he looked down upon. Naren, just you wait. After we destroy the unfettered 7 demons and get the inheritance of the godly musicians from Junmayan's hands, your saintess will be useless. At that time, I'll definitely return everything you've done to me and humiliate me 10-fold or 100-fold. Yi Yin gritted her teeth. She endured the humiliation and thanked Su Mingwei. In his heart, however, he hated these people to the bone. Seeing that the commotion had died down, Jing Tianyi looked at Chu Xinyan. The corners of Chu Xinyan's lips curled up into a smile. He slowly stood up from his seat and walked towards the center of the square. Everyone was wondering what he was going to do. There was a loud rumble. Then, a stone platform slowly rose from the center of the square. Everyone gasped at the sight of the stone platform. The surface of the stone platform was translucent, and one could faintly see the complicated runes carved with red lines. In the middle of the platform, there was a huge stone tablet. The words, "Evil Punishing Platform," were written in blood red. Of course, what shocked everyone was not this. Instead, thousands of people were kneeling around the stone tablet. Each of them was tied up by the immortal binding rope, and on their necks was an iron plate with the word "Evil Demon" written on it. He was forced to lower his head, his body stiff and trembling. The evil punishing platform didn't look big, but the number of people it could hold was far more than a few thousand. Chu Xinyan's figure flashed and arrived on the stone platform. He looked at the people who were forced to kneel on the ground, unable to speak or move with interest. The corner of his mouth hooked up into a mocking smile. In the next moment, his hand lightly touched the stone tablet with the words, "Evil Punishing Platform," carved on it. In an instant, the stone tablet lit up with a blinding red light. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. All the people kneeling on the evil punishing platform seemed to have been struck by lightning. They wailed in pain, their bodies violently convulsing. They twisted their bodies with all their might, wanting to escape from the evil punishing platform. But their whole bodies seemed to be fixed by the iron plate, unable to move at all. They could only bear the pain of being struck by lightning over and over again, letting out mournful wails. Chapter 3021. There were even some people who, because their cultivation was too low, directly lost control of their bowels under the stimulation of the electric current. The entire evil punishing platform emitted a stench that made people frown. The expressions of most of the people on the square changed slightly. They could not bear it. Chu Xinyan, however, seemed to have seen something that made him feel refreshed. He could not help but laugh out loud. After laughing, his gaze swept across everyone present. One by one, he smiled evilly. The people kneeling on the evil punishing platform are all the lackeys of the 7 demons of freedom. Since they chose to help the evildoers and refuse to repent, they naturally have to accept the punishment. Don't you think so? Everyone here should be on the same side as the Fiend Extermination Alliance and kill the Fiend Devils together. However, there are some people who just like to pay lip service to the Fiend Extermination Alliance. Alliance leader Jing, could these people be considered the Fiend Devil's minions? After this matter is over, should I be like these demons and monsters and go onto this evil extermination platform to receive the punishment of having both my body and soul destroyed? Jing Tianyi said with a smile. If they're the lackeys of the evil demons, no matter what punishment they receive, they naturally have only themselves to blame. No one will blame them. Moreover, all the disciples of this sect or clan will not be spared. On the square, the few families and sects that did not express their intention to join the Demon Extermination Alliance, except for the powerful ones like the Lan royal family and the Su family, were all pale, shocked, and angry. Chu Xinyan did not look at them. Instead, he strolled to the front of a sloppily dressed old man. He suddenly pulled that coarse and messy hair, immediately revealing the old man's face. There was an iron stick on the back of the old man's neck with the words Sinner Shurqing carved on the front. This iron stick was wide at the top and sharp at the bottom. Only by lowering one's head and not moving, the bottom of the stick would not hurt the human body. At this moment, Chu Xinyan pulled his hair forcing him to raise his head. The bottom of the iron stick instantly pierced into his spine, causing Shi to let out a painful groan. Blood immediately dyed his dirty robe red. This scene made many people present show a look of pity. Shi looked like an old man who could not even withstand a gust of wind. At this moment, he had no strength left. Why use such cruel methods to torture him? Chu Xinyan sneered. Do you know who this old man's true identity is? He is the sect leader of the Xiao Yao school, Shi. He is also the master of those 7 little devils. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Many people already knew that the unfettered 7 devils came from a sect called the Unfettered Sect in the Azure Cloud world. Because the 7 of them were famous for a period of time, and later on, it was said that the continent's #1 swordsman, young Master Yun Xiao, was also a disciple of the Carefree sect. Therefore, there was a period of time when people went to the Green Cloud world to look for the base of the Carefree sect. Countless people wanted to join, but in the end, they all failed to find anything. In a legendary heavenly jade mountain range, they only found a dilapidated thatched hut. There was a signboard of the Xiaoyao sect hanging on it, but it was so broken that even the word Xiaoyao had been eroded by the wind and frost. In that shabby thatched hut, no one could find any hermit expert. Occasionally, a sloppy old man reeking of alcohol would be seen staggering in and out of the place. How could such a shabby place belong to the Xiaoyao sect? How could such an old man be the master of the Xiaoyao 7, young Master Yun Zhao's senior brother? Chapter 3022. Those who went to the Azure Cloud world all returned disappointed in the end. But at this moment, looking at the old man whose hair was being pulled by Chu Xinyan, they suddenly realized something. It turned out that the shabby thatched hut was really the base of the Xiaoyao school. So that drunkard old man was really the master of the Xiaoyao 7. But how could this be possible? The spiritual qi surrounding the old man was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. It was extremely unstable. But even at his strongest, he was only at the nascent soul stage. Moreover, just by looking at his bone structure, he was only in his 50s. A Xiozha in his 50s. Theoretically, he should have the appearance of someone in his prime. However, the old man in front of him had white hair and a face full of wrinkles. It was obvious that he was nearing the end of his lifespan. This seemingly useless old man was actually the master of the unfettered 7 devils. How could they believe this? He heard the shocked whispers of the crowd below. Chu Xinyan smiled sinisterly and said, "Whether he is the master of those 7 little devils or not, won't we know once we try?" After he finished speaking, he raised his head to look at the peak of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range and suddenly used his spiritual energy to amplify his voice. "Jun Mayan, I know that you're relying on the refining god abyss to hide in the Fengtian mountains. I'll count to 10. If you guys don't bring the chaotic tower down, the corpse you'll see in a while will not be Shi. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Demon Massacre Plaza was still quiet. Not a single person could be seen. Chu Xinyan did not expect such a result. His eyes immediately surged with anger. He fiercely pulled Shi's head backward. The tip of the iron skewer almost pierced through Shi's entire back with a poochie sound. Shi let out a shrill scream. His eyes were filled with turbid tears, and he kept shouting, it hurts so much, this old man is going to die from the pain. Wah wah wah. How many years has it been since this old man felt so much pain? Does it hurt? Chu Xinyan gritted his teeth and said, if it hurts, then remember it clearly. All of this was caused by your 7 good disciples. Since Jun Mayan is so heartless and doesn't intend to save you, then this hoe will send you to hell right now. Wait a minute. I think I can still be saved. Tears and snot were running down Shi's face, but he shouted, my dear disciples are very respectful. I don't think they want to see an old man like me die. So, do you want to kill me a little later? Maybe they will come down after a while. Chu Xinyan sneered. This hoe has already counted to 10. It was Jun Mayan herself who gave up the opportunity to save you. If you want to blame someone, blame that demoness for being vicious and merciless, for deceiving her master and destroying her ancestors. After saying that, he raised his head and clasped the old man's neck, his 5 fingers abruptly tightening. Black chi instantly spread out from his fingertips. Ow, 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 wait a minute. Wait a little longer. Shurqing pulled his hands and shouted at the top of his lungs. My disciple, they won't come down. I can take you to her. Chu Xinyan's movements paused, coldly looking at him. Shurqing immediately spoke with confidence and assurance. Think about it. You guys are hiding at the foot of this mountain and don't dare to attack. Isn't it because you're afraid of my disciples? These words made all the cultivators present angry. Who would be afraid of those 7 little beasts? If they weren't hiding above the refining god abyss, why would we be afraid? Chapter 3023. The unfettered 7 devils are cunning. Who knows what traps are waiting for us up there? If we are accidentally thrown into the god refining abyss, wouldn't we be sacrificing ourselves for nothing? Yes, it's not that we are afraid, but we will not allow our disciples to die for nothing. Shurqing's mouth twitched, but he immediately changed his words. Good. You are not afraid of my disciple. You are afraid of the god refining abyss? Anyway, no matter what you are afraid of, as long as you hold me hostage, even if there are attacks and traps, they will still fall on me. Don't you think so? Also, even if my disciples are unfilial, they won't dare to attack me, their master, right? You used me as a shield, and they were helpless. Didn't you capture them easily? Also, if this method doesn't work, I can also go undercover alone. You guys get some poison that can seal the throat, and I will put in the food of my disciples. I guarantee that they will all bleed from their orifices. Even if they don't die, they will definitely not be able to resist. Shurqing spoke in one breath, and immediately blinked his turbid eyes, looking at Chu Xinyan expectantly. Chu Xinyan looked at him with a sinister and suspicious expression. Many of the cultivators present already revealed looks of disdain. Su Zi couldn't help but grit his teeth and said, Shurqing, are you really the master of the unfettered 7 devils? How can it be a master who would harm his disciple like this? The 11th prince of the Lan royal family, Lan Huahong, had been standing obediently behind Lan Etienne. Even when his father was forced to join the Demon Extermination Alliance, he didn't say anything. At this moment, he couldn't help but shout angrily, Great God June and the others respected you so much, but I didn't expect you to be such a coward. Shurqing said boldly and confidently, Isn't this all because of those unfilial disciples of mine? Each and every one of them left me in the lurch. Everyone looks out for themselves. What's wrong with me finding a way out for myself? Good. Since Dao Asher is so sincere, why don't we let him live and proceed according to this plan? Jing Tianyi spoke to save Shurqing's life. Shurqing was immediately overjoyed. Aya, Master Jing Meng is indeed kind-hearted. Marquis Chu, did you hear that? Alliance Master Jing has already said that he wants to proceed according to my plan. Hurry up and help me get that damn stick out of my hand. Ouch, it really hurts. With a gloomy face, Chu Xinyan raised his hand. With a puffing sound, the iron plate was taken out from Shurqing's body. Shurqing, I'm warning you, you'd better not play any tricks. Otherwise, this marquis has plenty of ways to make you wish you were dead. Once Shurqing regained his freedom, he immediately took out a pill from his sleeve and stuffed it into his mouth. He mumbled, Marquis, don't worry. I still have a lot of things to do. How can I bear to die? Comfortable. My Yinyan's obedient disciple's medicine is really effective. By the way, when are we leaving? How about now? When Chu Xinyan saw that he really didn't have any intention of cheating, he narrowed his eyes and selected 2 elite teams from the north-ranking Marquis Army and the Horton Tribe's Iron Armor Guards, preparing to attack the Phoenix Sky Mountain Range. Just as Shurqing had said, even if Jun Mayan really advanced to the crossing tribulation stage, they would at most have some fear, but they really didn't need to be afraid. After all, there are already dozens of crossing tribulation cultivators present. Not to mention the countless leaving body cultivators, the thousands of iron armor guards, and the north-ranking Marquis army. Chapter 3024. Only the refining god Abyss, a natural stronghold, is what they're truly afraid of. Even someone as strong as Chu Xinyan does not dare to say that he will fight against Mayan at the peak of the Fengtian mountain range. If he is not careful, he will be sent flying to the refining god Abyss and ultimately be powerless to resist, not even leaving behind a corpse. Shurqing's method can be considered as killing two birds with one stone. If the unfettered 7 demons are afraid, they will hesitate. In the ever-changing battle situation, a moment of hesitation will cost them their lives. If the unfettered 7 demons do not have the slightest bit of apprehension and directly kill Shurqing, then their act of deceiving their master and exterminating their ancestors will be publicly announced in front of everyone. At that time, if Lan Yiqian, Su Mingwei, and Murong Yin still want to protect the unfettered 7 demons, it will be tantamount to becoming the enemy of the whole world. Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan can understand this point. Many of the people present can also understand this. This is also the reason why Su Zi and Lan Huahong are so angry. Because of Shurqing's betrayal and surrender, it is tantamount to pushing the unfettered 7 demons to eternal damnation. And Shurqing, the main culprit, seems as if nothing has happened. While swallowing the medicine that Mayan gave him, he shakily prepares to leave the evil punishing platform, heading towards the direction where Chu Xinyan has gathered his troops. I will never allow you to frame the unfettered 7 demons. A roar suddenly comes from the evil punishing platform. Soon after, a figure with blood spurting out recklessly crashes towards Shurqing, and this first figure that rushes out seems to have lit a fuse. Immediately after, angry roars are heard one after another. Dozens of figures, like the first person, rush over from all directions of the evil punishing platform, crashing towards Shurqing. Shurqing still has a medicine in his mouth. At this moment, his expression is lifeless and his body is stiff, as if he is completely dumbfounded. When the person is right in front of him, he yells at the top of his lungs, "Help! Courting death!" Chu Xinyan coldly snorts. He does not even move, he just raises his hand. Crackling sounds can be heard for the evil punishing platform. Immediately after, the figures of those who are crashing towards Shurqing violently twitch in the air, falling straight down. From their bodies, one could even smell the burnt smell of being roasted by lightning. Shurqing looked at the charred corpses on the ground, and his hands, which were hidden in his sleeves, unconsciously clenched. These charred corpses were mostly children, students of the Starry School. Some of them were old men who were not much younger than him. Even Shurqing, who had always lived in seclusion, knew one of them. However, he did not expect it all. It was Su Qing from the whole unitary sect. He was the one who took the lead in robbing the Xiaoya sect. He's also the one who's been tormented by Mayan and the others, hovering between life and death. Later on, the whole Guei sect was almost exterminated, and the one who became his servant was him. Why now? But, suddenly, the hem of Shurqing's clothes was grabbed by someone. Su Qing raised his head and glared at him with a pair of scarlet eyes. He seemed to want to shout at the top of his lungs, but all that came out were broken sounds. Why? Senior Sure, you are. Master, how could you betray Xiaoyao Bang? Before Su Qing could finish his words, he was kicked out, crashing heavily into the stone tablet. The stone tablet released lightning, causing Su Qing to let out another shrill scream, and then he completely fainted. Chu Xinyan stepped on the head of one of the charred corpses. Chapter 3025. With a clang, the blade that was in his mouth drops, cutting the corner of his lips. Blood immediately flows out. It was this person who was the first to rush at Shurqing, triggering the subsequent chain reaction. Shurqing had almost lost his life, and their brilliant plan had almost been foiled. Chu Xinyan looks down at the youth who was scorched black by the lightning attack of the evil punishing platform. His cold and disdainful gaze is like he's looking at the most lowly ant. You bunch of trash want to ruin this Marquis's plan. Hee, I originally wanted to wait for Junmine to come down, then torture you to death in front of her. But since you're courting death, then this Marquis will let you experience what hell is. Wang He come up. Very quickly, an old man with white hair and beard, who is almost the same age as Shi Qing, hurriedly walks up the evil punishing platform. This person is called Wang He, Chu Xinyan's personal doctor in the North Ding Hofu. He also knows almost all of Chu Xinyan's secrets. May I ask, Marquis, what instructions do you have? Wang He's voice is still trembling, afraid that Chu Xinyan will kill him if he doesn't get what he wants. But hearing Chu Xinyan's request, he breathes a long sigh of relief. Didn't you tell this Marquis a few days ago that you've researched a medicine that can peel off a person's skin? Since there's a chance today, let's try it on these demons and monsters. Wang He nods again and again, looking at the few people who no longer have the strength to resist. His eyes reveal excitement. Marquis, rest assured, this lowly one will definitely make you satisfied. I've mixed this silver flower. In this medicine, the juice of this flower can help the skin and flesh to quickly separate. This subordinate only needs to open a hole on their heads, mix the medicine into water, and pour it in through the hole. At that time, that bloody, living body will be squeezed out of the skin little by little. When the whole skin comes out, the body will still be full of vigor, able to run and jump. That skin is guaranteed to be 100 times more complete than the one that Elder Lu Yu used to cut off. When the cultivators in the square hear this detailed description, they all feel their stomachs turning upside down. At this time, Wang He has already walked to Chu Xinyan's side, carefully picking up the person at his feet. A knife had appeared in his hand, and he was currently slashing at the man's head. Zheng little fatty. Someone on the evil punishing platform let out a mournful cry and was about to rush over without a care for anything else. Let go of Zheng little fatty. If you have anything to say, come at me. However, before he could endure the pain of the metal skewer stabbing into his back and rush out, crackling sounds rang out, and everyone on the evil punishing platform let out miserable cries. They spat out blood and swayed unsteadily. As for Wang He was all smiles as he opened a hole on Zheng Xiaopon's head with shining eyes. He took out a small bottle and opened the lid. Immediately, a pungent smell filled the air. Don't move around. Wang He comforted him with a gruff voice. This is the first time I'm using this medicine. I haven't even named it yet. If you accidentally fall in the wrong position, your body will jump out of your eye, and that won't be perfect. As he spoke, he raised his hand and poked the metal skewer on Zheng Little Fatty's back into his body. After making sure that Zheng Xiaopeng did not have any strength to resist, he carefully poured the medicine on his head. You're going too far. Lan Huahong was young and impetuous. He could no longer hold back and wanted to rush out, but Lan Yiqian held him back. Chapter 3026. On the other side, Su Qingling is also firmly holding back Su Zi, who wants to rush forward. Zi, can't you see it? This is Chu Xinyan killing the chicken to warn the monkeys to show us. Su Qingling's face is gloomy, coldly sweeping her eyes around. The North Dingho's army and the Iron Guards, it is reasonable to say that there are far more than these. Tell me, where are the rest of them now? Su Zi has always been very smart. With Su Qingling's pointers, he immediately understood something. Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan had already quietly dispatched the North Dingho's army and the Iron Guards to their families' residence when they invited the experts from the various families. Once they act blindly without thinking or refuse to join the demon-slaying alliance no matter what, then the first to suffer would be the children of their family. So despicable. Su Zi's complexion is pale. He grits his teeth, but he is powerless. These beasts still have the nerve to say that little sister is a demon. I think they are 100 times more greedy and ruthless than a demon. Su Qingling sighs softly. In fact, His Majesty and my Su family had already noticed the unusual movements of the North Dingho mansion more than 10 years ago. In the past, that Chu Xinyan always put on a dignified appearance, and no one knows how many shady deals he has done in secret. Unfortunately, we can't even protect ourselves now. I'm afraid that Miss June and the others will end up. Jing Tianyi and Chu Xinyan are too smart. They not only exaggerated the Xiao Yao Seven's gratitudes and grudges into a wanton massacre of demons. They also tied the interests of the entire Ziyunjie with the life and death of the Xiao Yao Seven. Adding on to this thunderous deterrence, who in the world would dare to resist? Who would dare to stand on the side of the Xiao Yao Seven? Besieged on all sides, isolated and without help. This is the situation of Mayan and the others. These talented youths are still so young, so full of vigor, with limitless prospects. But they will forever be strangled by the schemes of these old farts, consigned to eternal damnation. Su Qingling closes her eyes, concealing the sorrow in them. She didn't see that his younger brother's eyes are bursting with a blood-red light, hot and determined, as if he has made some kind of decision. On the punishing evil platform, as Wang He poured the medicine into Zheng Xiaopong's head, Zheng Xiaopong's body convulsed violently. Even when he was electrocuted and pierced by the metal skewers, he didn't make a single sound. But now, he couldn't bear it any longer and let out a heart-wrenching scream. Then, the crowd saw a blood-red meatball scuttling around the top of the head, try to drill out. Wang He was so excited to see this scene that he nearly danced with joy. Marquis, look, didn't this subordinate say that this medicine is useful? Ha ha ha. Chu Xinyan looked at this scene with great interest. His gaze swept across the frightened faces of the people in the square, and his lips curved. Not bad. When we return, this Marquis will reward you. To deal with these unrepentant demonic minions, we have to use this kind of thunderous method to let them know that we're in the wrong. How tragic are the consequences of helping the unfettered seven devils? Zheng Little Fatty, bastard, you bastards. You guys are the demons. What did Zheng Little Fatty do wrong? Are you going to do this to him? Shi Qing, who was at the side, had clenched his fists so hard that his palms were already bleeding. He could only clench his teeth so hard that his gums were bleeding. Only then could he stop himself from rushing out. But seeing that innocent youth being tortured to the point where there wasn't a single piece of skin left on his body. Chapter 30:27. That blood-red lump of meat grew bigger and bigger and came out of the wound faster and faster. He finally could not bear it any longer. However, it was also at this time. A gust of wind swept through the air. Before everyone could react to what was happening, they felt a huge black shadow suddenly appear above their heads, and then it got closer and closer. Chu Xinyan's complexion changed greatly. Without thinking, he mobilized his divine sense to control the Sumera Mustard Seed Space, 100 Disaster City. Under his control, the entire 100 Disaster City rapidly changed. The demon-slaying square and the demon-slaying hall suddenly became bigger, and the evil, punishing platform in the center sank down, wanting to continue hiding in the depths of the ground like before. However, Chu Xinyan's movements were a step too late. There was a loud rumbling sound. Before he could completely control the 100 Disaster City, a huge tower fell in the center of the demon-slaying square. Smoke and dust filled the air, gravel flew everywhere. Chu Xinyan, who was connected to the 100 Disaster City, felt as if his internal organs had been ruthlessly hit. A trace of blood spilled out from the corner of his mouth. He did not bother to wipe it off, but fiercely glared at the suddenly falling tower. The chaotic tower. Yes, only the chaotic pagoda could shatter his high-grade, virtual interspatial space. At this time, the chaotic tower directly smashed into the center of the square. Half of the evil punishing platform was crushed by the tower. The other half was already almost broken. On the transparent stone platform, the originally complicated but orderly rune lines had long since been broken into pieces. The stone tablet with evil punishing platform written on it was smashed to smithereens. His 100 Calamity City, his only divine-level Summer Mustard Seed magic treasure, had been reduced to such a state. Chu Xinyan was about to explode with anger. He was about to angrily shout for Jun Mayan to come out. Then he heard someone shout from below, "Ah, it's Jun Mayan. Heavens, so Jun Mayan is actually so beautiful? The alluring killing god is truly devastatingly beautiful." Chu Xinyan suddenly looked up as if he felt something. What he saw was the bright morning sun that had already risen into the sky. Then the white-clothed girl, standing at the top of the tower, looking down at everyone from above, slowly came into view. The warm morning sunlight seemed to coat the girl with a layer of orange light. Her skin, which was as delicate as porcelain, seemed transparent in the halo. That pair of clear and beautiful eyes were filled with a lazy and devilish smile at this moment, glistening like rippling waves. It was as if the beauty of the mountains and rivers, as well as the vast universe, were contained within it. At the same time, he seemed to be high above, like a monarch looking down on the world, looking down on everything in the world, peerless and unparalleled in the world. As for these people who were plotting against them, they were like ants that they didn't even put in their eyes. Chu Xinyan's heart thumped. He hurriedly suppressed the inexplicable fear in his heart. Jing Tianyi spoke in a steady voice. "Ha! Miss June is finally willing to grace us with her presence. I thought that all of you were going to hide at the top of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range for the rest of your lives." At the top of the chaotic tower, a white-robed girl was currently carrying a badly mutilated person in her hands. It was little Fatty Zheng. Mayan lowered her head to look at little Fatty Zheng, whose body couldn't stop spasming. She promptly took out an elixir from a space and fed it to him. Her eyes showed remorse, and she said in a low voice, "I'm sorry, I came late." She naturally didn't come late on purpose. Rather, when Chu Xinyan gave her a time limit, he simply didn't think that the chaotic tower couldn't be moved at will. Chapter 3028. And leaving the chaotic tower at the peak of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range was definitely not feasible. Because without Mu Yin, the chaotic tower would not have any defensive capabilities. Yin Rahan and the other 5 were currently in seclusion within the chaotic tower. If they were disturbed, they might go berserk. Furthermore, the chaotic tower was right beside the god refining abyss. If Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi sent people to sneak up the mountain to attack the chaotic tower, at that time, how many people would fall into the god refining abyss? But Mu Yin only discovered it when Servant 1 tried to move the chaotic tower. As long as the chaotic tower was placed somewhere, it would take root and fuse with the energy of all living beings under it. Last time, it was at the god-refining precipice in Divine Elephant City. This time, it was the entire Heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Mu Yan's consciousness had just fused with the chaotic tower and was about to order it to move when she was almost swept into a storm. At this moment, it was impossible for him to extricate himself from this situation. So she could only endure the anxiety and pain and forcefully pull the chaotic tower out of the Heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Even if she did not care about the damage to her soul, even if she used her fastest speed. But in the end, it was because of this delay that Zheng Xiaoping and the rest suffered irreversible damage. If she had known that the chaotic tower was so hard to move, she would have definitely let Kong Yuanjiu and the rest come down first to delay for a while. After swallowing the pill, Zheng Xiaoping stopped moaning, but the wound on his head had not healed. The mass of flesh and blood was still squirming outwards. Zheng Xiaoping's hands and legs were already shriveled, as if his flesh and blood had been sucked out. But his facial features were still undamaged. Only a lump of flesh kept moving out of the wound on his head. For a moment, it was as if there was a ball of blood on his head. It was incomparably shocking. It's useless. Wang He's excited and frightened voice came from the side. That pill has already changed every inch of his flesh and bones. Even if you let him take the king pill, the effect of the pill, it will not be able to reach the skin that is starting to separate. He is destined to become a skinless, bloody person. Moreover, he will still be able to live perfectly fine. Ha! Ha! My medicine will become unique in the world. In the future, Whoever the Marquis wants to interrogate, you just have to use this medicine. Who can endure it? Who in the world can endure it? Ha ha. Mayan slowly raises her head, her gaze calmly falling on his face. Wang Yi shuddered. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He screamed as he scrambled to escape from the top of the tower. However, no matter how he tried to climb, jump, or leap, his body seemed to be stuck to the top of the chaotic tower, unable to escape. Wang Yi was finally afraid. His face was covered in snot and tears as he begged. Great God, June, please spare my life. Spare my life. I'm just following orders. Please don't kill me. Mu Yin coldly looks at him. Where is the antidote? No antidote. Seeing Mu Yin take out the Tian Mo Qin, Wang He immediately screams. I'm serious. There really is no antidote. I just came up with this thing and haven't tested it on humans yet. I really don't know how to solve it. What's more, he has already become like this. Even if there's an antidote, it's definitely too late. Great God, June, if you're interested in this medicine, this lowly one can concoct it for you, as long as you spare this lowly one's life. Chapter 3029. Mu Yin placed her hands lightly on the strings, her fingertips plucking. Don't kill me. Wang Yi was scared out of his wits. He hugged his head and cried out. However, he soon realized that June Mu Yin was not attacking him at all. The silver energy flowing out of the Tian Mo Qin completely flows into Zheng Little Fatty's body. Wang Yi heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Then, he could not help but laugh. He had used this medicine mixed with the mercury flower countless times on countless high-rank spirit beasts. Which one of them didn't have their entire skin peeled off and die in the end? Those high-level spirit beasts were all comparable to nascent soul or even astral projection cultivators. Even these spirit beasts did not survive. A kid in the fasting stage wanting to survive the torture of being skinned alive was simply a fool's dream. On the other hand, Zhu Muyin, in order to save this kid, she had to focus on playing the guqin and could not be distracted. If he could approach her silently and take her life, it would be a great achievement. Thinking of this, the fear in Wang He's heart was replaced by greed. He looked down at Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi. Seeing that both of them were looking at him, he could not help but feel excited. He held his breath and slowly crawled towards Jun Mu Yin, who was playing the guqin. His skin and flesh were torn apart alive. Every inch of his flesh felt as if it was being roasted on fire as it was torn apart inch by inch. Zheng Xiaopeng did not know how long he had been suffering in this pain. Then, he vaguely heard the familiar sound of the guqin. The sound of his zither was like the celestial music from heaven, saving him from endless torment. Zheng Xiaopeng slowly opened his eyes. Seeing the person playing the guqin so close to him, his lips curled into a faint smile. Great God, June, am I dreaming? Or could it be that I have to go and meet XINU? If that's the case, that's great. That's great. XINU, you don't know how lonely I was staying in the Starry School alone. I really miss you, Jiang Xinyu and Zhang Xiaopeng. They were both students of Starry School and Yi Lianshan's most loyal supporters. The two of them fought side by side, laughing and cursing angrily. They fought for their idols and organized the Starry School's Good Day Army. After spending so much time together, Zheng Little Fatty, who bullied Jiang Xinyu in the beginning, started to have a good impression of her. However, Jiang Xinyu died tragically at Lu Ruoxiang's hands. In his hand. From then on, Zheng Little Fatty's entire temperament changed. He no longer made a fuss, no longer ate and drank, and no longer had a silly smile on his face all day long. His originally fat body became thinner at a speed visible to the naked eye, revealing his clear and handsome facial features. In the past, Jiang Xinyu had always despised Zheng Xiaopeng for looking like a fat pig and not at all handsome. Now, Zheng Little Fatty had finally become the person that Jiang Xinyu liked. However, he could no longer see the girl he had changed for. Hearing Fatty Zheng's hazy ravings, the rims of Mayan's eyes become hot, and her heart feels unbearably sour. It was her carelessness that caused Jiang Xinyu to die at Lu Ruoqin's hands. In his hand. This time, it would never happen again. No matter what, she would ensure that Zheng Little Fatty would live a safe and healthy life. The movement of her fingers on the guqin suddenly sped up, and the sound of the guqin pounded on everyone's ears like rain. Strands of silver light flowed from Mayan's fingertips, entering Zheng Xiaopeng's body, but did not stop. Chapter 30. For a moment, looking from afar, Mayan's slender, jade-like fingertips seemed to be twirling 1,000 translucent threads, manipulating the unconscious Zheng Xiaopeng. With the gentle twirling of her fingers, those threads that have drilled into Zheng Xiaopeng's body begin to throb. Some are straightening out the dislocated flesh and bones. Some are stitching up the broken meridians and blood vessels. Some are pulling back the students that have squeezed out his head a little. Among these countless energy threads, only one is different from the others that are being mended. It wanders through every inch of Zheng Xiaopeng's skin. Bit by bit, it draws out the venom that has seeped into his flesh and blood and drips it from Mayan's fingertips into a small porcelain bottle. Zheng Xiaopeng's distorted body begins to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. The originally greenish-gray surface of his skin returns to a healthy skin color. His nearly severed vitality is returning to his body bit by bit. This was truly a person who was on the brink of death being pulled back from the gates of hell. Whether it's Wang He, who is preparing to assassinate him, or the clan head, who has yet to react to the development of the situation. Looking at the scene in front of him, he simply can't believe his eyes. God! An old man sitting next to Lan Etienne suddenly slaps the table and stands up. He's so excited that he's dancing like a child. I knew that this girl is a genius in medicine. Now it seems that this old man's vision is really too good. Ha ha ha. What alchemist? What assistant zithermaster? What talisman? Teacher, how can it be compared to this girl's talent as a doctor? Your Majesty, do you see this? This is godly, truly godly medical skills. Using divine sense to manipulate spiritual power threads to mend the patient's internal injuries. Hundreds of threads are being manipulated at the same time, and the blood vessels and meridians are still intact. Ow, ow, ow. This requires a powerful divine sense, a tenacious mind to be able to do it. Your Majesty, do you see this? Lan Yiqian coughs lightly, motioning for him to calm down. Dr. Liang, calm down. We have eyes, we can see it. This noisy old man looks like an old urchin, but in fact, he is one of the best doctors in the Lan royal family. In the second round of the great elixir competition, doctors diagnose the patient's condition, and then alchemists refine elixirs to treat the patient. Finally, the patients were graded according to their recovery rate. And the doctor that Mu Yin had drawn at that time just happened to be this national expert, Dr. Liang. Because of Lung Qingwan's interference in the audition, Dr. Liang's diagnosis was wrong. In the end, it was Mayan herself who discovered the clues and saved the patient who was poisoned by the goo. At that time, Dr. Liang admired the medical skills of this young girl, named Yi Liangshan, very much. From then on, whenever he bumped into Yi Liangshan in Tianwang ruins, he would chase after her and ask her to give up on concocting pills and drawing talismans to study medicine instead. Mayan simply doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. In the end, he could only ask little Tian to help him monitor the time difference. He only dared to go up when Dr. Liang wasn't in Tianwang ruins. This time, the news that Yi Liangshan was Jun Mayan was completely exposed in Divine Elephant City. Dr. Liang's first reaction was to beat his chest and stamp his feet in grief. Short-sighted. You obviously have such a great talent in medicine. How can you waste your time on those useless things? No, Your Majesty, I must scold her to wake her up. Chapter 30-31. I'm sure you'll see Mayan in this devil-slaying assembly, right? Take this old man with you. Don't worry, this old man will definitely make her mend her ways. What devil cultivator? What zither master refining pills? It was nowhere near as bright as studying medicine. That's what it means to be immortalized for generations to come and benefit the people. Lan Yiqian and Lan Feng could not help but twitch their mouths. The only Lord of 6 stars in the world, the disciple of the sacred ancestor Medicine King, the master of the chaotic tower, the #1 supporting zither player, and so on and so forth. They were all beaten up by Dr. Liang to the point that they were useless playthings. But in any case, Dr. Liang still followed them. And at this very moment, when he saw the miraculous healing method of the chaotic tower, he felt a chill run down his spine. Dr. Liang almost burst into tears. He felt that his persistence and determination were indeed correct. June Mayan was born to be a doctor. Her medical skills were like a demonic charm, like the hands of God, like the grass of resurrection at the bridge of helplessness, able to pull back a person who had already taken a step into the king of hell. Lan Huahong clenched his fists as a smile blossomed on his taut face. Boss's mother was amazing, invincible. Dr. Liang was not the only one who was shocked. The people of the sex and aristocratic families present, no matter how much they loathed and hated June Mayan and the unfettered 7 devils before. At this moment, they were all intoxicated by the miraculous medical skills, unable to extricate themselves. Moreover, many people had a trace of ambition and uncertainty in their hearts. June Mayan has this kind of supernatural medical skills. Do they really have to kill her like this? Isn't that too much of a pity? Wouldn't it be great if he could cripple her cultivation and leave only her miraculous medical skills for him to use? This thought flashed through everyone's mind. This caused them to unconsciously turn their gazes towards the people of Cleansing Joy Pavilion. Just now, Jing Tianyi had threatened Lan Yiqian and Su Mingwei to join the Demon Extermination Alliance by making sure that all the high-ranked doctors in the world would no longer treat the Lan family empire and the Su family. But at this very moment, June Mayan is displaying her medical skills. This made Jing Tianyi's threat a complete joke. Was Mu Leg's medical skill amazing? Naturally, it was powerful. However, many people from the great families and sects of the Purple Cloud Realm had seen it before. Even if it was the Saintess of Cleansing Lu Pavilion, as long as he paid the right price, he could get her to treat him. But did the Saintess of Mu Lu Pavilion have such miraculous medical skills? Absolutely not. Since he wasn't a top-notch expert, what qualifications did he have to be used as a bargaining chip to threaten others? If they can't find Mu Lu Pavilion's people to treat them, can't they just look for Mayan? The effect of the treatment might even be far better than that of your Cleansing Lu Pavilion. Therefore, such a threat was nothing but a joke. Eslan stared blankly at the young girl standing atop the chaotic tower, as if she were possessed. It wasn't that she didn't hear the whispers of the people around her and the probing gazes that were directed at her. She also wanted to maintain her poise, to maintain the aloof and proud image of the Mu Lu Pavilion Saintess, who stood aloof from worldly affairs. However, the shock and unwillingness in her heart surged up like raging waves, causing her to be unable to maintain her cold and arrogant expression. How was this possible? How could she be a music doctor to such an extent? How can there be a doctor in this world who can do this? Eslan was also a near-omnipotent musician. When she was very young, she could play the Cry of the Nine Heavens Crane. Later on, she mastered this solitary solitude of snow and snow, which no one could play for 1,000 years. Chapter 3032. Han Lan was not very old, only in her 30s. She was already a tribulation cultivator in the prime of her youth. As a musician, she was not like others who could only assist in battle. She could resist the powerful attacks of 3 to 5 sword cultivators and could assist hundreds or even thousands of iron armor guards in battle. Her medical skills were among the best in the entire Mu Lu Pavilion, even if she did not specialize in this field. Before she met June Mayan, Han Lan was sincerely proud of her own talent. However, after meeting June Mayan, her pride was shattered little by little. Until today, there was not even a speck of it left. Han Lan clearly realized, as long as June Mayan existed in this world, she, Han Lan, would never have a name. No wonder young Master Yun Shao only had this girl in his eyes, and was never willing to look at her. No wonder, from beginning to end, none of the unfettered 7 demons regarded her as a real opponent. What Saintess of Mulu Pavilion? The strongest musician in the northern continent? In their eyes, it was just a joke, an ant shrouded in the shadow of fatally beautiful, killing god June Mayan. Saintess, you should know now, right? Yi Yun whispered in her ear with ridicule and bewitchment. Only by getting rid of June Mayan can you maintain your position as the one and only Saintess and obtain everything. Otherwise, you will fall from the altar and no one will ever look at you again. Hong Lan's pupils suddenly shrank, and her hands clenched tightly. Wang He, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and do it. Chu Xinyan's stern shout woke Wang He from his stupor. He was so shocked that his hands and feet were trembling, and he scrambled towards Mayan. Chu Xinyan also glanced to the side. Shui Wang immediately understood, and his whole body soared into the air. A long blade appeared in his hand, and he fiercely slashed at the top of the chaotic tower. Little sister, be careful. Great God June, quickly dodge. Ayaya, you bunch of idiots. How can you interrupt the treatment? Quickly stop. Panicked and anxious shouts came from below. However, it was all too late. Shui Wang's blade already carried the pressure of Mount Tai and fiercely slashed at the top of the chaotic tower. The top of the pagoda emitted a faint light and bounced him away. However, the entire tower shook violently. Mu Yan, who was originally treating Zheng Xiaoping, also pales as if she has suffered a violent attack. Clearly, there was indeed a protective barrier around the chaotic tower. However, this barrier was definitely not as indestructible as it was in Divine Elephant City. Shui Wang and Wang He were overjoyed to see this. Wang He used his hands and feet to crawl even faster. Soon, the dagger in his hand was pressed against June Mayan's neck. And because June Mayan's hands are twisting the energy threads, she simply can't free herself to save herself. Shui Wang's second slash arrived. Boom! There was a loud noise. The hearts of everyone in the Demon Massacre Plaza rose to their throats. Sun Yuanjiu and the others had already rushed out of the pagoda. They wanted to go up and rescue him, but they could not make it in time. The lights stopped flashing and the dust settled. Shui Wang, who was hovering in the air, revealed a ferocious smile. However, the next moment, his smile froze on his face. This was because on the chaotic tower, the white-robed girl was completely unharmed. Little fatty Zheng, who should have been on the verge of death, stood up unsteadily. Chapter 3033. Aside from the slight pain from the stitches, he was no different from a normal person. Everyone's mind was still filled with the terrifying image of the bloody ball on his head. Now that they saw the unscathed youth, the shock in their hearts couldn't be described with words. And the jade fingers that had just healed Zheng Little Fatty with her miraculous medical skills were currently grasping Wang He's neck. Her bright red lips slightly curled up, revealing a shallow and languid smile. Little Fatty Zheng, how did he treat you just now? Do you want to do the same to him now? Zheng Little Fatty was startled at first. Then he heard the clear and resolute voice of a girl on the verge of death. Only by living can one see new hope and happiness. Even if you and Xian you're already in 2 different worlds, I would never want you to give up on yourself, to end your life without putting in any effort, without experiencing a complete life. If you die in such a cowardly manner, even if you reach the other end of the bridge of helplessness, would you still have the face to see her? Zheng Little Fatty felt his eyes become wet and hot, something quickly flowing down. He hurriedly wiped it away. God June was right. How could he give up on himself? He still had to worry about his father and brother. There was also a large group of like-minded brothers who grew up together, worked hard together, indulging in lost emotions, letting himself sink into depravity. Was that what Xian you wanted to see? No. He still had many dreams that had yet to be realized, especially one, which was the dream that he and Xian Yu shared. They had once said that they would push their great god Yi to the top of the cultivation world. He wanted her to become the true supreme ruler. But now, their idol, the god they supported, was being attacked and framed by others. At this time, what should he really do? Zheng Little Fatty's face suddenly bloomed with the same wretched smile as before. He ran over, picked up the dagger that Wang Yi dropped, and said with a smile, "God Jun, let me do it, let me do it. How could I let you do this kind of rough work?" He raised the dagger and made a cut on Wang Yi's head. Then he picked up the porcelain bottle on the ground. The poison that Mu Yin had just extracted from his body was gathered in this porcelain bottle. Wang Yi felt the pain on his scalp and screamed in fear. "No, no, no, don't kill me. Marquis, save me. Alliance leader Jing, save me, save me." Zheng Xiaopeng looked at the wailing Wang, he with a sinister expression. "What was the name of this potion that can peel off a person's skin?" "Oh, by the way, you haven't taken it yet. Why don't I pick one for you now? How about skin peeler? Don't you like skinning people? Now, have a taste of the feeling of having your skin and flesh peeled off while you're still alive." With that said, Zheng Xiaopeng lifted the porcelain bottle in his hand and poured the poison into Wang Yi's brain. Shrill screams resounded throughout the entire Phoenix Sky mountain range, causing most of the cultivators on the Demon Massacre Square to have a fearful and solemn expression. His methods are too cruel. He actually used such a cruel method to torture a doctor. An evil demon is an evil demon. As expected, they are cruel by nature. If we don't kill this demoness today, I'm afraid the entire cultivation world will never have a day of peace. Chapter 30-34. Su Zi felt nauseous as he listened to the discussions of the people around him. When Wang Yi had wanted to skin Zheng Xiaopeng earlier, no one had objected. But now little Missy was merely giving him a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. But this group of people acted as if their tails had been stepped on. They kept accusing little Missy of being a demon. Didn't these people know that their faces were 100 times more disgusting and ugly than the demons in their mouths? Jing Tianyi was enjoying the sight of Wang Yi's tragic state with great interest. Only when Wang Yi breathed his last in agony did Jing Tianyi speak nonchalantly. "Miss June, do you know that your actions just now have been recorded by someone using a mirage stone and transmitted to every main city of the cultivation continent through Qingguang ruins? Your cruel, vicious, and vengeful nature has been completely exposed in front of everyone. From now on, there will be no place for you, the unfettered 7 demons, in the entire cultivation continent." At this point, Miss June still intends to struggle on her deathbed. Jing Tianyi's words alarmed Su Zi, Kong Yuanjiu, and the others. They instantly understood Jing Tianyi's sinister intentions. Kong Yuanjiu angrily drew his long sword and was about to attack Jing Tianyi. However, before the long sword could be unsheathed, someone pressed down on its scabbard. The girl's clear and indifferent voice resounded in his ears. "Elder Kong, don't be impatient." Only then did Kong Yuanjiu realize that Mu Yin had come down from the chaotic tower at some point. That slender, jade-like hand that had just saved a life was currently pressed down on the hilt of his sword. Kong Yuanjiu was stunned, but he still couldn't suppress his anger. He gritted his teeth and said, "Miss June, this group of bastards who invert black and white and call a deer a horse are really intolerable bullies." Jing Tianyi chuckled. "Miss June is truly the leader of the demons. You're already at the end of the road, yet you're still so calm." Mu Yin turned her head and curled her lips into a smile. "At the end of the road? With just you guys?" "Jing Tianyi, aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Or are you thinking too highly of this group of motley crew?" Jing Tianyi's expression immediately darkened. "You're about to die, but you still dare to boast so shamelessly. Jun Mayan, do you know that everything that happens in the devil-slaying assembly will be shown to every corner of the Xiozhen continent through the Mirage Stones? The more arrogant and ruthless you act now, the more you expose your true nature as an evil demon." Mu Yin clicks her tongue twice. "I'm afraid that Union Master Jing's level of education is not very good. You have some misunderstanding of the word shameless boasting." A group of so-called transcending tribulation stage cultivators, the heads of clans and sects, were completely defeated by my 6 nascent soul martial brothers. They were utterly humiliated. With this kind of conduct, you still have the nerve to form the demon-slaying alliance? You still have the nerve to say that you will uphold justice in the world? Tis TSK, the world is supported by a group of idiots like you. I'm afraid everyone wants to cry. Jing Tianyi didn't expect that not only was Jun Mayan's innate talent astonishing, but she also had sharp tongue. He could barely keep his composure. The other cultivators on the square were about to go mad with anger. Shameless maniac! Where did this silly little girl come from? She actually dares to be so presumptuous here. What kind of thing is the Xiaoyao sect? A few little bastards that crawled out from a corner of the blue cloud world. They're not even fit to carry our shoes, yet they still dare to step on our noses. Chapter 30-35. Haha, did you see how Shi Qing, the leader of the Xiaoyao sect, knelt before Master Ho like a dog and begged for his life? What good can a disciple taught by such trash be? As soon as the person who had insulted Shi Qing finished, Mu Yin suddenly plucked the sky demon zither. Clang! The zither sounded hurriedly, and countless energy turned into sound blades, shooting towards the person. The person was also a peak out-of-body realm cultivator, but he couldn't even react before screaming. Blood spurted all over his body, and he fell to the ground. Mu Yin retracted her hand from the zither and said coldly, "Watch your mouth. If you dare to insult my master again, don't blame me for taking your dog life." The person who was hit by the sound blades didn't die, but the tendons in his limbs were instantly cut. He fell into a pool of blood and wailed in pain, unable to say a word. Everyone was shocked by Mu Yan's sudden outburst, but what scared them more was her strength. A peak out-of-body realm cultivator couldn't even block a random sound attack from her. This fatally beautiful killing god, this demoness, just how powerful was her current strength? Aha! Mu Yin, I didn't expect a demonic place like the Xiaoyao sect to be so united. Why don't you turn around and see who is in my hands? Mu Yin turned around. She saw Chu Xinyan holding Shi Qing's neck and walking slowly to the evil punishing platform. Because of the chaotic tower, more than half of the evil punishing platform was destroyed. The Starry School people who had been controlled on the evil punishing platform were also rescued into the chaotic tower and could no longer be hostages. Only Shi Qing, who had betrayed and begged for mercy. When the chaotic tower fell, he wasn't on the evil punishing platform, so he was still in Chu Xinyan's hands. Mu Yan's eyes turned cold. "Let go of my master." Chu Xinyan smiled. "You want me to let go of your master? Sure. Then throw down the zither in your hands. Walk over and surrender yourself. This marquis promises you that as long as you're obedient, this marquis will at least keep your life. After all, such an outstanding beauty, such superb medical skills. It would be such a pity if you died like this." Absolutely not. Jun and Mo Xie, don't listen to him. Be it the Starry School teachers and students in the Chaotic Tower or Su Zi's group, all of them could not help but shout. "Great God, Jun, your master. He's not a good person. Back on the execution of evil, he betrayed the carefree society. He even planned to sneak into the Chaotic Tower to poison you all. God, Jun, you can't sacrifice yourself for such a traitor." Hearing the discussions around him, Mu Yin couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. If the Starry School students and Su Zi's group were not saying these words, she would have given them a slap. But since everyone was saying the same thing, it was obvious that what they said was true. Mu Yin couldn't help but cast a doubtful look at Shi Qing. Master is a traitor? How is this possible? In recent years, Shi Qing's body had been ruined, and he had been drinking all year round, so his figure had become much more stooped. At this time, Chu Xinyan lifted him up by the back of his collar. His feet couldn't touch the ground. He couldn't help but cry out in fright. "Yin Yin, my good disciple, quickly save your master. Don't listen to these people's nonsense. I love the 7 of you the most. How could I betray you? Don't forget, you were only able to enter the Carefree Society because I discovered you during the sect competition and saved your life." Chapter 3036. You won't leave your master in the lurch, will you? Quick, put down the zither and come over. Your master really doesn't want to die. On my inside, whether it's Longting, Xingqian, or Yuanwu village, they are all infuriated by Shi Qing's shamelessness. Bah, don't dream. Great God Jun has already seen through your true colors and will never be fooled by you again. Shi Qing, you are too shameless. As a master, you actually want to use your disciple's life to exchange for your own. The Xiao Yao seven sons are obviously such good people. How could they have such a shameless and selfish master? Chu Xinyan snorts coldly and suddenly raises his voice. The hand on Shi Qing's neck suddenly tightens. Zhu Mayan, have you thought it through? If you don't surrender now, your master will really lose his life. Mayan slightly lowers her eyes and slowly steps forward. Everyone thinks that she is really going to abandon herself to save Shi Qing, and they immediately become anxious. Kong Yuanjiu and the others even want to rush forward to stop her. However, at this moment, Mayan suddenly raises her hand and plucks the zither. Marquis, be careful. Miaoyu's cry of alarm makes Chu Xinyan's heart skip a beat, and he quickly steps back. With a swoosh, countless zither blades brush past his and Shi Qing's bodies. A few of them cut Shi Qing's clothes. There is even one that directly cut off Chu Xinyan's hair. Chu Xinyan has a lingering fear and inexplicable alarm. Of course, that sound blade attack just now could not really hurt him. But the sound blade is attached to the vigorous spiritual power and sharp sword intent, making Chu Xinyan unable to help but feel terrified. He calms his mind with great difficulty, but then he becomes angry out of shame. Good. Jun Mayan, it seems that you don't want your master's life anymore. Then this Marquis will help you. Don't. Marquis, spare me, spare me. Shi Qing immediately screams like a pig being slaughtered, his hands and feet fluttering in the air. Marquis, listen to me. This lowly one's life is still useful, absolutely useful. Chu Xinyan coldly says, useful, 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 absolutely useful. Shi Qing gritted his teeth and said with righteous indignation, Jun Mayan, that ingrate, is ruthless, but that's because she only stayed in the Xiao Yao school for 1 or 2 years. But my other disciples are different. They were all raised by me, and they all treat me like their own father. They would never leave me in the lurch. Marquis, believe me. These words made Chu Xinyan hesitate for a moment. Jing Tianyi glanced at Shi Qing and suddenly asked Shui Zhaowang, where are the other 6 of the unfettered 7 devils? Shui Zhaowang snorted coldly. Gritting his teeth, he said, just now I saw those 6 people meditating in the chaotic tower. They haven't come out yet. I'm afraid that they are in closed-door training to advance. Hearing this, everyone at the scene gasped in shock. What the fuck? Were these little devils even human? It wasn't enough for Jun Mayan to advance, and now the remaining 6 also want to advance? Jun Mayan alone was already so frightening. What if there were 6 more people? The unfettered 7 devils were already so frightening when they were still at the leaving body and nascent soul stages. What if they became crossing tribulation and leaving body stages? All the cultivators present shuddered in unison. At the same time that they felt fear in their hearts, a strong, killing intent welled up. Such a frightening opponent, such a fire seed, they must cut the weeds and eliminate the roots before they completely matured. Jing Tianyi said in a low voice, Marquis, this Shi Qing might really be useful in a while. Let's leave him with his dog life for now. Chapter 3037. Shi Qing nodded repeatedly. That's right. Keep this old man alive. It will definitely be useful. Chu Xinyan looked at this matter with disgust and disdain. In the end, he only tied the binding immortal rope around his body and threw him to the side. Jing Tianyi is already coldly looking at Jun Mayan. However, the words that came out of his mouth were clearly directed at everyone present. As the saying goes, a teacher for a day is a father for a lifetime. Even if Shi Qing is greedy for life and afraid of death, he still has the grace of raising and saving the unfettered 7 devils. June Mayan, this devil, can even abandon her own master's life. It's enough to see how ruthless and heartless these demons are. If they can be merciless to their own master today, it means that they won't kill the innocent in my Purple Cloud realm or the entire cultivation continent in the future. So, these evil spirits must be exterminated today. Just as the last word Mei was uttered, Jing Tianyi, Chu Xinyan, and Xiahou Zun had already soared into the sky. They had caught the enemy off guard and launched a ferocious attack. The targets of their attacks were precisely the unfettered 6 sons who were in seclusion within the chaotic tower. For a moment, everyone in the square held their breath. These 3 people were all famous swordsmen on the Blue Sky ranking. Chu Xinyan was 3rd, Jing Tianyi 5th, and Xiahou Zun 6th. Usually, when one of them made a move alone, the mountains would collapse and the earth would crack. Now that the 3 of them were attacking together, would Mayan and the chaotic tower be able to stop them? Almost everyone shook their heads. They were very confident that Chu Xinyan and the others would be able to kill the unfettered 6 sons. No matter how strong the defenses of the chaotic pagoda were, no matter how heaven-defying June Mayan's talent is, how could she withstand the joint attack of 3 tribulation-passing experts? The moment Chu Xinyan and the other 2 soared into the sky, Mayan's fingers are already strumming the Tian Mo Qin. The sound of the zither reverberated in cadence. In the blink of an eye, a barrier made of zither notes appeared before the chaotic tower. Divine hands weaving the heavens activated. Boom! The entire heavenly Phoenix mountain range seemed to shake violently. Some of the younger generation of the aristocratic families and sects couldn't even sit properly and fell from their chairs. The powerful pressure caused all the cultivators at the crossing calamity stage and above to turn pale and their internal organs to churn. Just based on this, one could tell how powerful the attacks of Chu Xinyan and the other 2 were. However, the chaotic pagoda did not budge. It didn't even shake like when Xue Zhaowang chopped down with his sword. This was awkward. Chu Xinyan, Jing Tianyi, and Xiahou Zun's faces turned ashen. The 3 of them exchanged glances and launched their second wave of attacks at the same time. Under the chaotic tower, Mu Yin, who was playing the zither with both hands, had a somewhat pale complexion, but his movements were also extremely fast. The sound of the zither was noisy, like the sound of a powerful army. Divine hands weaving the heavens was activated once more. The difference was that talisman markings were faintly flowing on the wall of sound this time. Boom! After a loud explosion, everything returned to normal. The chaotic tower was still peaceful and serene. After a moment of silence, there was a burst of cheers. These cheers were like slaps that ruthlessly slapped Chu Xinyan, Jing Tianyi, and Xiahou Zun's faces. 3 swordsmen ranked in the top 10 of the green sky list couldn't even break through the protective shield created by a little girl's zither music. Who would believe such a joke? Suddenly, someone in the square cried out in surprise. A formation in mid-air. How is this possible? The one who spoke was the head of the Killing Rakshasa sect, Lei Hong. The Killing Rakshasa sect had always been devoted to the research of formations and formation plates. Lei Hong, the head of the Killing Rakshasa sect, was the only formation master at the Crossing Calamity stage. Chapter 3038. However, at this moment, Lei Hong looked at the protective barrier outside the chaotic tower and revealed an indescribable expression. When everyone looked at it, they realized that the faintly discernible runes on the protective barrier were actually a complete defensive formation. It was this formation and the sound barrier that blocked the joint attack of the 3 tribulation-passing cultivators. But without array discs and crystals, how did the talisman arrays take shape? And how did they work? She only used a zither? Everyone looked at the zither-playing girl in shock. Just a moment ago, she had displayed her miraculous medical skills to the crowd. And now, her ability to set up an array in mid-air shocked everyone to the point that their souls almost leaped out of their bodies. June Mayan, how many more tricks did she have up her sleeves? Was there anything in the world that she couldn't do? Jing Tianyi's gaze fell on June Mayan. In fact, he already knew that she had broken Fusong City's 10 Ultimate Formation and cleansing Lu Pavilion's 10,000 Raging Formation. But how could hearing about it compare to seeing it with his own eyes? This woman was really too powerful and terrifying. No matter what, he must get rid of Junmayan and the Xiao Yao sect today. If she was given the chance to continue growing, the threat she would pose in the future would be unimaginable. But it was also because of this woman's strength that they couldn't fight her head-on. Otherwise, as the leader of the Demon Extermination Alliance, Jing Tianyi's cleansing Lu Pavilion and the Horton tribe would have to take the lead. At that time, even if they killed Junmayan and obtained the treasures, cleansing Lu Pavilion would suffer heavy losses. On the contrary, when the Sandpiper and Clam fought, the fishermen would benefit. Thinking of this, Jing Tianyi glanced at the 6 people of the Xiao Yao sect who were still meditating in the chaotic tower. He said in a low voice, "Looking at the airflow around these 6 little demons, it's impossible for them to advance without a day's effort. The most important thing right now is to get rid of Junmayan before the other 6 wake up." Chu Xinyan and Xiao Zun both looked at Jing Tianyi. Jing Tianyi looked at everyone in the plaza and smiled coldly. Killing evil demons is currently the most important matter in the entire cultivation continent. Of course, we need to work together and make everyone contribute their share of the effort. Don't you think so, Marquis Chu and Lord Xiaohou? Jing Tianyi's voice was so soft that only Xiaohou Zun and Chu Xinyan, who were beside him, could hear him. Moreover, the meaning of his words was very vague, but the 2 of them understood immediately. At this moment, if the 3 of them want to kill Mayan, they might succeed. But this woman was too evil. When he was still at the leaving aperture stage, he was able to kill the great elder of cleansing Lu Pavilion, who was at the 5th tribulation passing realm. If they were to fight her head-on, even if they could win, the 3 of them would suffer heavy injuries. In the end, it even benefited others, who picked up Mayan's treasures. There's one more thing that I'm afraid all of you are aware of. There are more than 8 people in the Xiao Yao sect. There's also young Master Yin Xiao, whom even we are afraid of. Hearing this, Xiao Zun and Chu Xinyan's pupils shrank. The continent's #1 swordsman, Luo Yin Xiao. No one knew exactly how strong he was. Back then, Zhao Yingli, who was at the nascent soul stage, challenged Luo Yin Xiao and recorded it on a photographic talisman. It was broadcasted to the Tianguang ruins and caused a sensation. Chapter 30-39. In this match, Zhao Yingli lost without any suspense. It was a complete and utter defeat. But there was one thing that many people did not know. Zhao Yingli's father, Zhao Qingning, was a tribulation passing expert. Moreover, he was ranked 2nd on the Green Sky list, the famous absolute swordsman. 5 years ago, Zhao Qingning had secretly challenged Luo Yunxiao to a duel for the title of the top swordsman in the cultivation land. Everyone thought that it would be an evenly matched battle. However, the final result was Zhao Qingning's crushing defeat. The dignified, absolute swordsman, second only to Leng Yaoshan in the cultivation land, was unable to recover from that setback and could not even pick up his sword. Later, he disappeared, and no one in the cultivation land had ever seen him again. And after Luo Yunxiao was crowned as the top swordsman and the most handsome man in the cultivation land, he kept a low profile, as usual. As a result, very few people knew about this duel. Until 2 years ago, Zhao Yingli wanted to avenge his father and once again found Luo Yunxiao. Zhao Yingli was only a nascent soul cultivator. The title, Empty Cry Sword, was given casually by everyone out of respect for Zhao Qingning. After Zhao Qingning's disappearance, the Zhao family fell apart, and Zhao Yingli could not even stay in the Purple Cloud domain. How could such a person be a match for young Master Yin Xiao? Zhao Yingli himself obviously thought so too. So before the duel, he thought of a sinister trick. He obtained a colorless and odorless poison from the 10,000 Poison Valley and released it before the start of the duel. Zhao Yingli had the idea of perishing together with Luo Yunxiao. He even specially asked someone to use a photographic talisman to record Luo Yunxiao's ugly appearance when he died from the poison. so that he could avenge his father's tainted reputation. However, what shocked Zhao Yingli and those who knew about it, even Zhao Yingli, who had taken the antidote beforehand, could only hold on for a quarter of an hour before collapsing in the poisonous fog. But Luo Yunxiao acted as if nothing had happened from beginning to end. He had even helped Zhao Yingli force out the poison in his body after he had defeated Zhao Yingli. Later, no one knew what Luo Yunxiao said to Zhao Yingli. He only knew that from then on, not only did Zhao Yingli not hate Luo Yunxiao, but he also worshipped her. But there was one thing that everyone was clear about. Young Master Yunxiao was very strong. He was so strong that he wasn't someone they could easily contend against. It was even possible that he was like young Master Suicide, Ning Su, and did not belong to the cultivation continent. Luo Yunxiao was not here. But what if he came back one day and found out that the three of them had slaughtered his fellow disciples? The consequences weren't something Cleansing Delight Pavilion, Duke Dingbei, or Imperial House Xiaohe were willing to bear. Jing Tianyi slowly said in a low voice, "But what if everyone participates in this demon-slaying mission? No matter how powerful Mr. Yunxiao is, do you think he can kill everyone in the entire Purple Cloud world or even the entire cultivation mainland?" This was the main reason why he had to blame the Unfettered Seven for the crimes of the Unfettered Seven, no matter what. Jing Tianyi and the other two landed in front of the Demon Slaughter Palace. Muyan also took the opportunity to stop playing. In fact, activating Divine Hands Weaver and Star Curtain at the same time to resist the powerful attacks of three tribulation-passing cultivators was quite a burden on her. "Zhu Muyan, do you know your crimes?" Jing Tianyi shouted as soon as he landed. His expression was cold and murderous. In a split second, he suppressed the whispers of ridicule and shock in the square. Chapter 3040. I've long known that you people are cruel and ruthless. You've taken over other people's bodies to be reborn, slaughtered innocent people, controlled the corpse puppets to wreak havoc on the northern continent, and destroyed the soaring dragon sect's 1,000-year foundation. All of these things that we cultivators of the righteous Tao despise. Yet you people killed them all without any qualms. But I didn't expect that you would be so crazy as to kill your own master. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning for your actions? Jing Tianyi's words were filled with righteousness and righteousness. Beside him, Yushui was holding a mirage stone and recording everything that happened in the demon-slaying square. Then, she selectively spread it to every corner of the cultivation continent through the Tianguang ruins. Muyan was still fine after hearing this. Beside her, Kong Yuanjiu, Zhou Daoi, and Fatty Zheng were almost angered to death. The person who wanted to kill Shiqing was Chu Xinyan, and they were the ones who destroyed the Dragon Soar Academy with their own hands. Now, they were twisting the truth and pushing it all onto the Unfettered Seven. How shameless were these people? It was you who used the lives of Shiqing and the Starry School's students to threaten him. Now, you're saying that God Jun betrayed his master? You've already said everything. Who's the shameless one? The thousands of Starry School's students and teachers have never done anything evil, yet they were captured and abused by you for no reason. I think you're the ones who should be struck by lightning. Jing Tianyi snickered, indicating that he was prepared to deal with this accusation. Unhurriedly, he said, "The Demon-Slaying Alliance didn't want to use hostages to threaten you. But you Unfettered Seven demons are too cunning. You bewitched everyone from Starry School and the Dragon Soar Academy and controlled them to become your puppets. If we don't get rid of these demons, the ones who will suffer in the end are the ordinary cultivators and citizens. Even if we have to resort to extreme measures, we have a clear conscience. Jun Muyan, you want to incite your subordinates to tarnish the Demon-Slaying Alliance's reputation? Save it." Muyan stops Zheng Xiaopeng, who is about to curse out loud. She says in a leisurely manner, "Alliance Master Jing, I understand that you three were quite embarrassed when you couldn't break through the Chaotic Tower just now. So, you urgently need to say some ruthless words to regain some face. But can't you change your repetitive words a little? You don't get tired of talking too much, but my ears are getting calluses from listening to you too much." Or could it be that Alliance Master Jing really thinks that after telling a lie 100 times, what you have in your hands is the truth? Jing Tiany's expression was gloomy, but he did not get angry. Instead, he laughed coldly. Jun Mayan, whether what I said is a lie or not, it would be better to let the victims who have been harmed by Yu Xiao Yao 7 devils prove it themselves. Jing Tiany waved his hand. From the demon-slaying hall, a large wave of men and women of different cultivation bases immediately surged out. Mine doesn't recognize most of these people. However, there were also some who looked familiar. At this moment, almost all of them were looking at her with hatred and fear. Muyan's heart thumps. He quickly guessed what Jing Tiany wanted to do. Tell me, how were you harmed by the Xiao Yao 7 devils? Jing Tiany's words caused these people to look at each other in dismay. They wanted to say something, but stopped. From time to time, they would look at Mayan with frightened eyes. Jing Tiany chuckled. You don't have to be afraid. The purpose of today's demon-slaying conference is to kill the 7 devils of the Xiao Yao school and return peace to the cultivation continent. You can speak out loudly if you have any grievances or hatred. Chapter 3041. Everyone here is a respected patriarch of the Purple Cloud Realm. They will definitely seek justice for you. Most of the people called out by Jing Tiany didn't have high cultivation. Some were only at the Qi condensation stage. Facing Jun Mayan, who was already at the tribulation stage, they were instinctively afraid even if she didn't release any pressure. But Jing Tiany's words gave them a glimmer of hope, because they discovered that everyone sitting in the plaza was famous. They could only dream of such great figures in the past. With them here, what could a mere Jun Mayan amount to? Thus, someone boldly spoke up. With the first, there was a second, a third, and each one was more impassioned and indignant than the last. I am Ning Hai, the housekeeper of Ning Mansion in Min Lu Jia. Back then, our Ning family had no enmity or grievances with that demoness, Jun Mayan. But she first killed our young master, then later killed master, and even burned our Ning Mansion to the ground. It's a pity that our Ning family was originally the #1 family in the Minlu realm, but who would have thought that we would end up like this? Jun Mayan, do you still recognize me? I am Qian Feng, an elder of the Leaf Fire sect. That day at the Blue Cloud Realm sect selection, you poisoned my nephew. I still remember that. My Tian family was originally one of the 5 great families of the Azure Blue Realm, but because we offended these 7 little demons, our entire family was massacred. But these beasts still refused to stop and actually painted the naked bodies of our Tian family on paper, making us the laughingstock of the entire Azure Blue Realm. Jun Mayan, this enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. Today, I will represent the Tian family to seek justice. Jun Mayan stole our Flowing Moon sect's top secret pill formula, and even publicized it in the Heaven Light Ruins, making our Flowing Moon sect unable to stay in the Purple Cloud Realm. Boo-hoo! In the Tri-Academy tournament, I only said a few unpleasant words to them, but I was wantonly humiliated by the unfettered 7 demons. It wasn't easy for us to enter the Woodfern Mystic Realm, and we almost died, but in the end we gained nothing. It's all because of that insatiable demoness Jun Mayan. She took away the treasures that should have belonged to us. Such a demon. He deserves to die. If I don't kill Jun Mayan, if I don't kill the unfettered 7 devils, it will be hard to dispel the hatred in my heart. The words of these people were all sincere. Some of the people on the Demon Massacre Plaza didn't believe it, but most of them did, especially those families and sects that were originally neutral. At this moment, their eyes were filled with disgust and fear as they looked at Mayan. Jing Tiany lowered his eyes and smiled proudly. Jun Mayan, this is just the beginning. I like to see how long you can last. He raised his hand, signaling for them to quiet down. He then turned around and faced the Mirage Stone in Yashue's hand. If someone was on the rebirth square of Tianwang Ruins, they would discover that on the tall tower in the center of the square, there were many people standing on it. From the very beginning, it had been playing everything that had been released at the foot of Mount Feng. At that moment, Jing Tianyi's righteous and awe-inspiring face appeared in front of everyone in the Reincarnation Plaza. Through the Tianguang ruins, they were sent to every main city of the Xiozhen continent. Jing Tianyi coughed lightly, then said in a clear voice, "I've transmitted everything that happened in the Demon Massacre gathering to every corner of the Xiozhen continent through the Tianguang ruins, hoping to inform everyone." Chapter 3042. Slaying demons and devils isn't just the responsibility of our demon-slaying alliance. It's the responsibility of everyone in the world. Here, I appeal to all those who have been persecuted by the unfettered seven devils, or those who have the ambition to kill the evil devils, to gather at the foot of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Be it the Min Lu realm, the Azure Cloud realm, the Azure Blue realm, or the Purple Cloud realm, you can all vent your hatred and grievances at our devil-slaying conference. I, Jing Tianyi, promise everyone here that I will not allow these evil demons to harm the world. Even if your cultivation is low and you have no background, you do not need to worry about the revenge of the unfettered seven devils, because my Demon Extermination Alliance will definitely ensure your safety. Furthermore, after this matter is over and the cultivation continent has regained its peace, all the brave warriors who participated in the slaughter of the demons today will be rewarded. After saying that, Jing Tianyi raised his hand and gestured. Immediately, Cleansing Joy Pavilion's deacons brought array discs to various parts of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range. As the array disc and the crystal were buried, a ray of light flashed in all directions of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range. Everyone quickly recognized what it was. Teleportation array. As everyone knows, although there are already many flying magic treasures in the cultivation continent. However, the continent was incomparably vast. It would take at least 3 to 5 days of flying to reach the foot of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range from Min Lu, Azure Cloud, and Kanglan. However, things would be different if there was a teleportation array. As long as there were enough crystals, almost all the people on the cultivation continent could be gathered here through the teleportation array. Many of the cultivators present could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. That was over 100 teleportation arrays. He didn't expect that Mulu Pavilion was willing to pay such a high price to kill the unfettered seven devils. Everyone's gazes turned towards the young girl in front of the chaotic tower. Her complexion was as beautiful as snow, peerless and indifferent. Her expression was indifferent, as if she had no reaction to what was happening in front of her. But a thought flashed through everyone's mind. Junmayan is finished. The unfettered seven devils were finished. Gossip is a fearful thing, and it can destroy one's bones. Regardless of whether the unfettered seven devils were truly evil or not, after today, they would all become sinners condemned by everyone. There was no room for a comeback. The students of Soaring Dragon and Stellar Union obviously understood this better than Mu Yan. Therefore, all of their faces were deathly pale, and they were filled with hatred and despair. They wanted to refute loudly, but no one was willing to listen to them. Jing Tianyi was obviously satisfied with the change in everyone's expressions. He pointed at the teleportation formations that had been set up in the mountains and continued. These 108 teleportation formations are connected to the main districts of Min LV, Qing Yun, Songlan, and Purple Yun. As long as you're interested, you can use these teleportation formations to watch this devil-slaying feast and personally witness the tragic end of the unfettered seven devils. It was as if they were responding to his words. The teleportation arrays lit up one after another. Cultivators of different cultivation bases and dressed in different attires came out one after another. They were just here to join in the fun. Some of them had heard Jing Tianyi's promise and wanted a share of the spoils. Some of them have already been brainwashed. From the bottom of their hearts, they think that Mu Yin and the others are evil devils who bring disaster to the cultivation world. They hope to see them turn into ashes with their own eyes. But there were also people who had witnessed the brilliance of the Xiao Yao 7 at the Deer Cry Banquet, and also admired Yi Liang Chen's invincibility when he slaughtered the list. They did not believe that such a dazzling genius could really be the evil demon that everyone cursed. Chapter 3043. Jing Tian sees that more and more people are coming, and he lets out a low snort. The general trend is now in his hands. No matter how many tricks Jun Mayan has up her sleeves, besieged on all sides, she will have nowhere to go, and it will be difficult for her to escape. What's more, his meticulous plan hasn't been completely revealed yet. Swish! A sword light suddenly shines in the square. Following that, 2, 3, 4, under everyone's astonishment, they see dozens of figures suddenly fly out from one of the transmission arrays. The sword light whistles, heading straight for Jun Mayan in front of the chaotic tower. Jun Mayan, you killed my master, destroyed my Heaven Jian sect's century-old foundation. I'll fight it out with you, you devil. Heaven Jian sect was the sect that competed with Mayan for the mysterious ghost wood and scarlet flame gold in the Woodfern's secret territory. In the end, the Heaven Jian sect, which had gathered almost all of its elites, was utterly defeated by Mayan in the secret territory. Even the sect's ancestor, Guing Long, the only peak-leaving body expert, died in Di Mingju's hands. Since then, Heaven Jian sect has fallen from a second-rate sect to a third-rate sect, no longer having a foothold in Ziyunjia. The hatred these Heaven Jian sect disciples have for Jun Mayan can be imagined. Unfortunately, even if their ancestor Guing Long comes back to life, Mayan won't put him in her eyes at all, let alone a few nascent soul-stage disciples. The zither sounds leisurely, and these people feel a gust of wind blowing on their faces. The swords in their hands tremble twice and fly out of their hands. The few of them let out a blood-curdling screech and directly fell to the ground, their faces flat on the face. If one were to say how tragic and heroic they were when they first came out of the transmission array, how embarrassing and funny they are now. There are even some cultivators who can't help but laugh out loud. The Heaven Jian sect disciples are ashamed and angry, glaring at Jun Mayan. The girl in snow-white clothes has already stopped plucking the strings. Her mocking gaze falls on them, and she shakes her head. What? Hasn't your Heaven Jian sect disbanded yet? Jun Mayan, don't go too far. Mayan has a smile that isn't a smile. When did I go too far? Oh, are you talking about how your Heaven Reflection sect couldn't compete with me in the Woodfern's secret realm? So you shamelessly tried to bully me with your numbers, only to be killed by me in the end? The disciples of the Heaven Jian sect were speechless, because Jun Mayan's words, in just a few words, were extremely accurate. But how could they admit to such a fact? For a moment, their faces alternated between green and white, but they couldn't say a single word. Jun Mayan, the disciples of Heaven Jian sect were put on the spot. Suddenly, an angry shout came from the crowd. Even if you and the Tian Jian sect are competing for the treasure, what about my daughter? How did my daughter offend you? Why do you want to harm her like this? Mu Yin raises an eyebrow. Who are you? The speaker was a middle-aged man in his 40s. His face was filled with righteous indignation, and his eyes were filled with tears, as if he had suffered a great injury. At this time, he didn't answer Mu Yan's question. Instead, he cupped his hands towards the surrounding cultivators and loudly said, This one is Su Shiqing, and my daughter is called Su Luoyi. She was originally the most promising genius of Dragon Ascension Academy. But who would have thought that this demoness, Jun Mayan, will be jealous of my daughter's beauty in the Woodfern's secret realm? She actually gave her a bone-eroding pill, turning her into something neither human nor ghost. Do you know how torturous and hateful it is for me to watch my daughter suffer like this every day? Chapter 3044. As they spoke, someone brought a stretcher up. Lying on it was a skinny woman with sunken eyes and blue veins all over her body. Rather than a person, it would be better to say that she was an ugly, malicious spirit. At this time, the woman was struggling to jump up from the stretcher, pointing at Mayan and shouting, Jun Mayan, it's all your fault. Give me back my face. Give me back my beauty. I'm going to kill you. Kill you. Long-tongue Heavenly Academy's Su Luoi's beauty was also famous in the Ziyun realm. Compared to her current ugly appearance that was like a ghost, many people in the square were shaken to the core. This is really Jun Mayan's doing, torturing an innocent woman to this state. Isn't Jun Mayan going too far? Why else would she call them demons? Only demons would use such cruel and despicable methods. Su Shiqing went to Su Luoi's stretcher and knelt down, crying and kowtowing. Su Shiqing, know that my cultivation is low and I don't have the ability to seek justice from this demoness. I asked the seniors of the Demon-Slaying Alliance to lend me a hand. If we can kill the demons and avenge my daughter, Su Shiqing, am willing to work like a horse for the rest of my life. Jing Qianni promptly stepped forward and helped him up. Fellow Taoist Su is too serious. Slaying demons and eliminating demons is what we righteous cultivators should do. We don't deserve such courtesy. Everyone! Jing Qianni pushed Su Shiqing away and suddenly raised the sword in his hand, pointing it at the sky. You've all seen the crimes of the unfettered 7 demons with your own eyes. As long as they are allowed to live, more innocent cultivators will suffer. Can we allow them to continue to be presumptuous? No. The square shouted in unison, shaking the world. Good. Jing Qianni, thank you for your righteousness. Everyone, please listen to my command. All leaving body stage cultivators and above, attack with me. All leaving body stage cultivators attack the chaotic tower. All crossing tribulation cultivators attack Jun Mayan together with me. Today, we will let these demons spill their blood on the spot and turn them into ashes. Blood splattered on the spot and ashes scattered in the wind. The cultivators who were sitting on the carved chairs stood up one by one. They excitedly shouted their slogans. Pairs of wolf-like and tiger-like eyes stared at the lone girl in front of the chaotic tower. Whether it was because of benefits or the superiority of righteous cultivators. They also wanted to kill this demonic woman so that she would never be able to act so arrogantly again. However, there were also some people who remained seated and did not move. Lord Lan, Lord Su, Lord Morong, what is the meaning of this? Don't tell me you really want to protect these 7 demons? Chu Xinyan asked coldly. Lan Yiqian frowned and said, this matter has not been thoroughly investigated. These accusations are only their one-sided words. They cannot prove that the 7 carefree sons are demons. Ha ha ha! Chu Xinyan laughed loudly. Even at this point in time, King Lan is still able to say such ridiculous words. Who on the continent doesn't know about the actions of the unfettered 7 devils? You said that they're only one-sided, but if one person says so, it might be a lie. But if so many people accuse him at the same time, is it also a lie? The people who had just accused Mayan immediately pointed to the heavens and shouted loudly. We guarantee that every word we said is the truth. If there is any falsehood, we may be struck by lightning. Chapter 3045. Did you hear that? Chu Xinyan looked at Lan Yiqian mockingly. You don't believe the testimonies of so many innocent victims, but you believe the words of a few demons. I can't help but suspect that the entire Lan royal family is in cahoots with the unfettered 7 demons. Could it be that even the Lan royal family has been bewitched and corrupted by the unfettered 7 demons like Dragon Ascension Academy? Lan Yiqian shouted angrily. Chu Xinyan, how dare you slander us? Chu Xinyan laughed loudly. What? Are you angry now that this marquis has seen through you? Lan Yiqian was about to say something when he heard a clear voice that was like the sound of nature. Chu Xinyan, it's fine if others call me a demon. You are an old monster who created the Blood Abyss Vine and the Heavenly Flood Dragon. You have survived until now by absorbing the essence of your own children. What qualifications do you have to talk nonsense here? Chu Xinyan's face stiffened. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes as he said sternly, Jun Mayan, stop slandering me. Do you think that you can live a little longer by creating rumors and sowing discord? Jing Qianni, what are you waiting for? Quickly give the order to kill this demoness. Jing Tianyi snorted coldly and thought to himself, "You have no right to order this, Alliance Master." But he knew very well what the most important thing was right now. Moreover, Chu Xinyan's background was indeed not clean. If this little girl really exposed him, then it would be difficult for him to use his subsequent methods. Thus, Jing Tianyi looked coldly at Lan Yiqian, Su Mingyue, and Murong Yan. He said sternly, "The unfettered 7 demons are heinous demons. There's no doubt about that. You still don't want to make a move. Are you determined to protect the demons and become enemies with all the righteous cultivators in the world? The unfettered 7 demons have saved our Murong family." Murong Yan, who had been silent all this while, said hoarsely, "I know their character. They're definitely not evil demons. Shouldn't we investigate this matter thoroughly before making a decision?" The ancestor of the Murong family had left to travel many years ago, and since then, there was no trace of him. Murong Yan was only at the peak of leaving body realm. In front of a group of tribulation-passing experts, he had no right to speak. They did not dare to fight against the demon-slaying alliance like Lan Yiqian and Su Mingyue. But at this moment, he was unable to remain silent any longer. If it weren't for the unfettered 7 sons, Murong Shui might have already been tortured to death by the Shui family. Without Jun Mayan, how could the Murong family get rid of the blood fiend that had troubled them for so many years? With such kindness in front of them, if their Murong family still made a move against Jun Mayan, then what difference would there be between them and cruel and unscrupulous animals? Investigate. What else is there to investigate? Shui Zhaoguang's sinister gaze swept over every single member of the Murong family. He sneered, "Alliance head Jing, I think that Murong Yan has ulterior motives. He wholeheartedly wants to buy time for those 7 little demons. They must have been bewitched by Jun Mayan long ago and joined the Xiaoyao sect. Since we're slaying demons, we naturally have to eliminate them completely, including their claws and teeth. I don't think this Murong family can be left alive. Let's kill them all today." Murong Yan's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed in horror, "Shui Zhaoguang, what about me?" Shui Zhaoguang sneered. "Who here doesn't know whether Jun Mayan is an evil demon or not? Yet, you insist on being unreasonable and confusing the public. If you're not trying to protect this group of evil demons, then what are you? If you're not convinced, why don't you ask loudly right now? Are the unfettered 7 sons evil demons?" Chapter 3046. Yes. The uniform shouts made Shui Zhaoguang very satisfied. That devil Jun Mayan, should we kill her immediately? She deserves to die. No, she deserves to die. Kill. Suddenly, a hoarse roar overshadowed the shouts of the people in the square. Shui Zhaoguang didn't expect that someone would tear down his stage at this time. He suddenly turned his head to look. He saw that the more than 100 transmission arrays had all lit up. One by one, cultivators came out from them. There were men and women, old and young, low and high cultivations. Moreover, it could be determined from the different transmission arrays they appeared in. Each of them came from different towns, sects, and even domains. But the amazing thing was that they were wearing the same clothes. White with blue edges, valiant and formidable. On each of their chests were the words "glamorous," outlined in scarlet runes. As they walked, and the spiritual power in their bodies gushed out, the 2 words "glamorous" shone brightly, as if it could dazzle people's eyes. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, this group of people had already gathered in the demon-slaying square at an extremely fast speed, standing by Mayan's side. The youth in the lead held a folding fan in his hand. When he saw Mayan, his eyebrows immediately curved, revealing a look of infatuation and excitement. But the voice that came out of his mouth was low and steady, as if it had been brewing for countless days and nights. "Great God, Jun, I've made you wait for a long time." Glamorous fallen army reporting. Mayan looked at the people in front of her in a daze, her eyes sweeping from one face to another. Some were familiar, some were unfamiliar. Some had fought side by side with her, and some had only met once. She found her voice after a long time. What are you doing here? Do you still need to ask? Of course, to support you, great God. Who dares to say that great God June is a devil? I, Suda, will be the first to refuse. If we can't stand up for our idol when she is bullied, what kind of loyal supporters are we? Xiao Yinchuan. Xue Zhaowang roared. Are you tired of living? You dare to openly support this devil woman? Xiao Yinchuan waved his folding fan and said indifferently, I say, is there something wrong with your brains? Mei Yin, cough. How could the great god June be a demon? Have you ever seen such a beautiful demon in the world? These words made the surrounding onlookers burst into laughter. After laughing, he felt that those words made sense. As the saying goes, one's appearance comes from one's heart. Under the sunlight, a young girl played the zither alone. Her clothes were whiter than snow. Her features were picturesque, and her appearance could topple cities. When he sat there quietly, he was like an antique and everlasting painting. Just a glance at him would cause one to be intoxicated and unable to extricate themselves. How could such a young girl be a demon? For a time, the murderous atmosphere that was originally at daggers drawn quietly changed. Jing Tianyi had never expected that such a large group of people would suddenly appear, even though he had been in perfect control of the Devil Slaughter Conference. He glanced at the Mirage Lightstone with a gloomy expression. Before he spoke up in a cold voice, Xiao Yinchuan, you openly associate yourself with the devils. Haven't you ever thought about the fate of your own sect and clan? The Xiao family was only a second or third-rate family in the Ziyun realm. They didn't have the right to be invited to the Devil Slaying Conference. Huh! Xiao Yinchuan put away the folding fan in his hand, and the smile on his face disappeared. Chapter 3047. Xiao Yinchuan says coldly, Uncle, you don't have to worry about this. I, Xiao Yinchuan, have already severed my relationship with the Xiao family this morning. From now on, I, Xiao Yinchuan, will be responsible for everything I do. It has nothing to do with the Xiao family. I, Chunda, have also severed my relationship with the Green-Tooth sect. I will be responsible for my own actions. It has nothing to do with my family. For a moment, everyone is stunned. Even Mayan looks at the men and women surrounding her in disbelief. When she was besieged by 3 experts at the peak of crossing Calamity stage, she wasn't afraid at all. She didn't even raise her eyebrows when she was condemned by thousands of people and splashed with dirty water. But at this moment, because of these people in front of her, who she either met by chance or didn't know, her chest is surging with raging waves. However, no one thought that this was just the beginning. Jing Tianyi shouts, You think that by pretending to sever ties, you can let your family, before he can finish, hundreds of transportation arrays light up again. This time, there were even more people coming out of the cave than before. It's similar to the devastating city army. They also come from different towns, have different cultivations, men and women, and wear the same clothes. The only difference is, the 2 words embroidered on their chests are not devastating city, but Liangshan. At this moment, a name flashes through everyone's mind. Liangshan Army. The cultivators sitting on both sides can no longer hold back and shout. How is this possible? The devastating city army is here. They are here to support Mayan. Everyone can understand. After all, Mayan has that kind of beauty that can put the moon to shame, and this is a real contact. It's not impossible for these, Liangshan army, to be bewitched and lured. But what about the Liangshan army? They're just a motley crew gathered in Tianguang ruins. These people haven't even seen Mayan's real face. They don't even know her real identity. What are they doing here? Could it be that they're also risking their lives to support Mayan? How is this possible? The impressive group of people from the Liangshan army doesn't care about what the cultivators in the Demon Slaying Square are thinking. Without waiting for the crowd to react, they all rush to the Devil Massacre Plaza. Seeing the devastatingly beautiful army that was already standing beside Mu Yin, someone immediately beat his chest and stamped his feet. Easy, bro. It's all your fault for dilly-dallying. causing us to be snatched away by the devastating city-destroying army. What's the use of being first? We outnumber them, and our quality is better than theirs. The title of Great God, Ye's number one supporter, belongs to none other than my Liang Chun army. Amidst the clamor, the majestic crowd has already stood on Mu Yan's right side. Elegant Bro, North Sunflower, Xiang Wan, Sister Hua, and Old Ma stood in a row and bowed to Mu Yan. Liang Chun Dajuan, reporting for duty. Sorry to keep you waiting, Almighty Yi. The voices of the four of them were hoarse and trembling with excitement. They had always known how outstanding the person they admired was. However, no one had expected that Yap Liangchun was actually Jun Mayan, their idol. He was much more outstanding and powerful than they had imagined. In this life, to be able to follow this person, to have the opportunity to protect this person, even if they were to die in this demon-slaying square, they would have no regrets. Mu Yan opened her mouth, wanting to scold them a few times. Why did they come? Why did they risk their lives for a person they haven't even seen, disregarding everything? Chapter 30:48. But when she saw the blazing light in their eyes, all the voices turned into a stream of heat, rolling into the bottom of her heart, churning and imprinting. Whether it was Jun Mayan or Yap Liangchun, everything she had done was just following her heart and doing it in passing. Perhaps she had helped someone, perhaps she had protected someone, or perhaps she had become someone's hope. But those were nothing more than small favors, and she had long since thrown them to the back of her mind. However, the things that she had forgotten, these people remembered them one by one and guarded them carefully. Until today, when their wings had fully grown, the position of protector and protected exchanged. It was like a seed that she had unintentionally sown, and when she wasn't paying attention, it had already blossomed and borne fruit, and the trees had grown into shade. This time, it was their turn to stand in front of her, to shield her from the wind and rain, to overcome all difficulties. This time, it was their turn to guard her, so that she would no longer be bullied by anyone. Mayan suddenly lowered her eyes, covering the damp heat that was about to gush out. She took a deep breath, and after a long time, she raised her head and swept her gaze over everyone present. Her eyes were sparkling, as if there were thousands of things she wanted to say, but in the end, she could only say two words. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to stand by my side unwaveringly when I was being condemned by thousands of people. Thank you for being willing to believe in a stranger like me without reservation. Thank you for protecting me, supporting me, and unwavering from the beginning until now. What's there to thank? We are your number one legion. If someone bullied you, how could we, the Yap Liangchun army, not come? Hey. Even if you have a big face, there should be a limit, okay? The number one legion of God Jun is naturally our devastating troops. At best, what you're supporting is just a sock puppet of God Jun, and even the name isn't real. Are you not ashamed to compare yourself to us? Bah, I know that you devastating troops are shameless, but I didn't expect you to be this shameless. When God Yi slaughtered Tianguang ruins and dominated the Six Stars Pagoda, who knows where you were playing with mud? The Lord of Six Stars is a fart. One person slaughtering a city. Only Jun Mayan knows. Ha. In the heavens and on the earth, in the 3 realms and 6 realms, the one and only descendant of the Medicine King. Under Yap Liangchun, there is no king. Once a luring city appears, who dares to challenge her? Within the chaotic tower, the people who had just been moved by the sudden arrival of the devastating city army and the Good Day army. At this moment, all of their faces were filled with black lines, and they were just short of rushing out to bash these people's heads. What the hell was wrong with him? Back then, when they didn't know he was alone, it was fine if they argued. Now that he knew he was alone, he was still arguing? Moreover, why don't they look at the occasion? Was it a situation that they could coax? However, what caused everyone to collapse was that it was one thing for the beautiful city army and Liangchun army to quarrel. Even in the chaotic tower, there were supporters of Jun Mayan and Yi Liangchun fighting against each other. In the end, They simply ran out of the chaotic tower and joined their respective teams. And then they continued bickering. Mu Yin, all right, even she wanted to facepalm. However, this farce was not over yet. This was because the third wave of people had come out of the teleportation array. These people did not wear the same uniform, nor did they have any embroidered symbols. But as soon as they stepped out of the teleportation formation, they started shouting at the top of their lungs. Chapter 3049. Carefree, carefree, who else but me? Carefree, carefree, dominating the world. One sword mountain sea, Yun Ruhan, one sword to conquer the 9 provinces, one sword to swallow the mountains and seas. Shaking Mount Tai Chinjio, the strongest defense, the strongest fist, the most reliable almighty Qin. Silver Bow, godly arrow, Chumoli, the #1 long-range attacker. Even a wheelchair can't stop you. Raging Flame Blade, Lungyama, the red lotus, seizes the soul. The raging flame devours the soul, who said that women are inferior to men. Gale Ing Hua Ling Yushing, the wind that no one can catch up to, the fire that no space can obstruct. Thousand Hands godly summoner Long Liu, the Bai Fong on the left, the puppet on the right, the strongest summoner in the cultivation continent. Who else but you? Azure Blue-Purple Cloud, a brilliant feat. Wood Fern dominates. Fusong massacres the city. Beautiful city, who dares to challenge? The 7 carefree men, not one less. The 7 carefree men advance with indomitable will. This group's movements were even more chaotic than Liang Chen's army and Beautiful City's army, and their numbers were far less than those two. But their voices were each louder than the last, and the slogans they shouted were surprisingly uniform. As they shouted, they walked to Mu Yan's side. Then they forcibly squeezed out a space from Liang Chen's army and Beautiful City's army. The 7 carefree men are the strongest when they combine, and Almighty June is the happiest and most invincible in the carefree sect. So, all of you, get out of the way. Our carefree army is the #1 army. Damn, who are you? Your face is bigger than the Beautiful City's army. You get out of the way. Get out of the way. Muyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she looked at the 3 groups of people arguing in front of her. At this moment, Jing Tianyi shouted angrily, "Are you guys done?" Jing Tianyi was so angry that his whole body was shaking. He had plotted for so many days, meticulously plotted and arranged everything, and finally pushed the atmosphere to the most appropriate climax. Who knew that in the end, all his efforts would be ruined by this motley crew? How could Jing Tianyi not be angry? If it weren't for the fact that everyone was watching, and if it weren't for the Mirage Stone that was connected to the Tingwang ruins, he would have killed every single one of these idiots. Jing Tianyi took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart with great difficulty. Xue Zhaoguang and Su Qinquan understood what he meant and immediately incited their disciples to shout. What's wrong with these people? Why are they so supportive of a group of demons? I think they have been bewitched. I've already said that Jun Mayan, that witch, has the ability to charm people's hearts. Now, it seems that it really is so. Seducing so many men at the same time, isn't it all because of her face? How disgusting. The noisy voices suddenly stopped. They were clearly a chaotic and undisciplined group of people, and they were clearly arguing with each other just now. However, when they heard someone humiliate their idol, these people didn't need anyone's orders. They instantly stopped quarreling and united against the enemy. A few people from the 3 armies slowly walked forward. These people were the leaders of the Beautiful City's army, Liang Chen's army, and the Carefree army. It was only now that Mu Yin realized that the leader of the Carefree army was actually Murong Xue. And standing beside Murong Xue were the former members of the Kirin squad, Duan Wenbin, Jin Zhonghao, Chu Yuanlei, and Zhu Chongliang. Chapter 3050. Naturally, the cultivators present also quickly recognized him. Wenbin, why are you here? Liang, or what are you doing? Come to Grandpa's side. The elders of the Qilin team obviously didn't know about this. At this time, they all cried out in alarm. Even Murong Yin stood up in shock, looking in disbelief at his daughter, who walked at the very front. He hadn't seen Murong Shui in the past few days. He thought she was in seclusion. But who knew? She actually, Jing Tianyi had also noticed this. He glanced at them fiercely and said coldly, Murong family master, Duan family master, Chu family master. What do you mean? Have you made up your mind to help the evildoer? The faces of the patriarchs of the great clans kept changing, and they were momentarily speechless. Murong Shui's expression was extremely calm. She stepped forward and said loudly, Don't ask. I, Murong Shui, have cut ties with the Murong family a long time ago. What I do has nothing to do with the Murong family. It's my own choice. I, Duan Wenbin, also cut ties with the Duan family. I, Chu Yuanlei, quit the Dragon Tiger sect. Sentence after sentence of severing all ties made everyone present a little dumbfounded. Xiao Yunchuan and the others could have just said that they were cutting ties with their families and sections. The Murong family, the Duan family, the Dragon Tiger sect, the Jin family. They were all first-rate families in the Ziyun realm. Duan Wenbin and the others had become members of the Qilin team and were once the 6-star champion. Their talent and strength were naturally second to none. Their status in their families must be very high as well. But today they were saying that they were cutting ties with their families and sects in front of everyone. Are you crazy? Did that demoness bewitch you? Why do you want to be with the evil spirits? Murong Shui sneered. What is good and what is evil? You guys look sanctimonious on the surface, but secretly do all kinds of shady things. Is that good? I'm sorry, but I don't want to be a member of such a prestigious sect. How dare you? You're just a little girl. How dare you be rude to us elders? As expected, one would be bewitched after being in contact with those demons for too long. Look, they've all lost their minds. Shui Zhaoguang glared at Murong Shui as if his gaze had been dipped in poison. Back then, it was you who killed my grandson with the unfettered 7 demons. You vicious woman. Now, you actually dare to openly support the unfettered 7 demons. I think that the Murong family itself is a nest of demons. You should be killed. As he spoke, he raised his hand to chop Murong Shui to death. However, the intermittent sound of a zither traveled into his ears. The sound of the zither did not have any offensive properties. However, Shui Zhaoguang's expression changed abruptly as he recalled the pain in his internal organs. Shui Zhaoguang was shocked and frightened. In the end, he could only clench his teeth and retreat. However, he could not help but look at the white-clothed girl sitting in front of the chaotic tower. Jun Mayan, she seems a little strange. He sat in front of the chaotic tower, neither moving nor retaliating. Only when his subordinates were attacked would he use his zither music to protect them. This kind of behavior was completely inconsistent with this woman's vengeful personality. Was it because he was not strong enough? Or was he plotting something? A trace of doubt arose in Shui Zhaoguang's heart, but he could not figure it out. In the end, he reluctantly suppressed it. Jing Tianyi's gaze swept over the members of the Qilin team as he said coldly, Chapter 3051. Have you really thought it through? For the sake of a few demons that you met by chance, you want to become enemies with all the righteous cultivators in the world? You want to drag your clans and sects into an unjust situation? Do you really think it's worth it? Duan Wenbin laughed coldly. We've known the unfettered 7 sons since the Deer Cry banquet. We know their character and conduct very well, and we sincerely regard them as friends. How is it not worth it to sacrifice one's life for one's friends? Duan Wenbin paused and turned to look at the teachers and students of Long Tongue in front of the chaotic tower. Seeing that they were alive and well, his eyes bloomed with joy and relief. When he turned back to look at Jing Tianyi, his eyes flickered with even more determination. I, Duan Wenbin, have been studying in Long Tongue since I was young. All these years, I've been carefully taught and nurtured by teacher Long Tongue to have today's achievements. But you sanctimonious hypocrites In order to obtain the chaotic tower, you actually slaughtered so many teachers and students of Long Tone, destroying the foundation of Long Tone for 1,000 years. Today, everyone in the Qilin team has gathered here to seek justice for Long Tone. Even if we die here, it's worth it. Zhu Chongliang also said in a clear voice, a teacher for a day, a father for life. You killed my instructor Long Tongue and destroyed the place where I studied. If we can't stand up and seek justice for the academy, what right do we have to be students? Chu Yuanlei's voice rumbled, but it was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. Whoever makes an enemy of Long Tongue is the enemy of the Qilin team. If you want to kill another person of Long Tongue, then you'll have to step over the corpses of the Qilin team. This sonorous and forceful answer stunned Kong Yuanjiu, Zhou Daoi, and the others. Now that the academy was in trouble, the students with powerful families and backgrounds had already fled before the battle had even begun. They had originally thought that they had been abandoned by those students. But it turned out that it was not like that. These students had never forgotten that they were a member of Long Tongue. In order to seek justice for Long Tongue, these students were even willing to sever ties with their huge families. They said, a teacher for a day is a father for life. They said, if you want to kill another person of Long Tongue, you'll have to step over the corpses of the Qilin team. Zhou Daoi forced himself to hold back, but he still couldn't stop the tears from streaming down his face. He pressed on Duan Wenbin's shoulder and said, good boy. I. In the end, he was choked with sobs and was unable to continue speaking. Inside and outside the chaotic tower, many of the Soaring Dragon Academy's teachers and students began to cry. He was touched, but he was also venting the grievances and fear that he had suffered during this period of time. Their academy had been destroyed. They were banished from the familiar divine Elephant City. They could only watch helplessly as their mentors and classmates died in front of their eyes, yet they were powerless to do anything. For the past few days, they had always thought that Long Tongue was finished, and so were they. But that was not the case. Draco was never finished. Their school buildings could be destroyed, their teachers and students could lose their lives. However, as long as these people were still alive, they would not be able to escape. Long Tongue would never disappear. No matter who is in power, as long as the soul of the Soaring Dragon exists, the academy will be passed down from generation to generation. This is the original intention of the Emperor when he established the Soaring Dragon Academy. In Sun Yuanzhou's mind, he suddenly recalled what the Six Stars Pagoda's artifact spirit had said to him 100 years ago when the power of the Soaring Dragon Academy had overlapped. At that time, he was at a loss and did not understand, but now it was as if he had been enlightened. His eyes reddened, and he could not help but reveal a relieved smile. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.